Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Marvel. The Father's System. I am raising Wanda and Homelander in Marvel. Chapter 21. Jingle Bell. Afternoon, between classes. Wanda was still sitting alone by the window, lazily and elegantly, taking out the bobo milk tea exchanged by Guan Fuyun from her bracelet and drinking it slowly. Why, she really missed her godfather. But it's different from Azu's childlike dependence and clinginess. Wanda felt that she was a bit naughty and her thoughts were not very pure. She was even thinking about what to name the child after giving birth. Just thinking about it makes me blush. This is another beautiful picture. Whoosh. But the next second, this scene was destroyed. Outside the window of the 5-story classroom, a Spider-Man swung over. Dong dong dong. Spider-Man knocked on the window and said, "Hello. Hello, Ji Yu Liang. You may not believe it when I say it. You are being targeted by a ninja killer. You are a ninja and a killer at the same time. What kind of international joke am I making? But this is the fact. Listen to me." The words have not yet finished. Swish, swish, swish. Several shurikens came spinning. Spider-Man felt bad, so he could only turn around and send out spider webs to fight the enemy. He didn't know Wanda at first, so he followed the killer all the way. When he arrived, the killer naturally arrived too. "Run, go call the police," Spider-Man shouted, and then he had with those ninjas who jumped over the wall and appeared out of nowhere. Those ninjas were all masked and silent, with long swords sheathed behind their backs. They stood together, just like the mass-produced soldiers in the game who came out of a factory. The strength and speed of the miscellaneous soldiers are still in the human category, but well trained. First, the shuriken blocked the space, and then he drew his sword, and I slashed randomly. The light of the sword flashed, as if it had been woven into a big net, airtight. Whoa, whoa, dead pot ant pinch. Spider-Man was shown off and made a sound like a country bumpkin was shocked. Although he doesn't know swordsmanship or martial arts, he can be as clever as Peter, and his reflexes are more Superman-like. His body can also be like a spider, jumping, flipping, climbing, and hanging upside down. In addition, he can also shoot sticky and strong nets and threads. If the ninjas are not careful, they will be entangled in those things and unable to break free. So after a few back and forth, Spider-Man seemed to be winning. A murder against an innocent beautiful girl. He was stopped forcefully. Nice. Inside the spider suit, Peter Parker smiled. With great ability comes great responsibility. Ever since Uncle Ben passed away, this has been his life creed. Every time he succeeds in becoming a hero, the scars and regrets in his heart will be made up to some extent. But the smile only lasted 3 seconds. Whoosh. In the corner, suddenly a beam of silver light shot out, like a flick of the head, faster than a bullet. Spider-Man's hair stood on end. He made a big jump and narrowly avoided the sneak attack. With his superior dynamic vision, he was surprised to find out. This is not a special bullet, but a throwing knife. A flying knife, with a long and thin iron chain trailing from its tail, flew past the tip of Spider-Man's nose by a hair's breadth, and then nailed into the ground with a ding sound, reaching a depth of several feet. Crash. Then, the drag chain tightened and made a sound, the flying knife was pulled back, and a masked man wearing a red ninja uniform came out. His eyes are as sharp as a falcon, and his momentum is astonishing. He is constantly spinning chains and flying knives. At first glance, he is an elite monster. Of course, he is indeed an elite monster, Nobu Yoshioka of the hand. A guy who has mastered the so-called Qigong. General Ross's purpose is to kill all those suspected of being men in black and little boys, as well as people related to them, such as Wanda. But that man had originally blocked hatred. Dare to accept the task of killing him. Naturally, the hand will not just send ordinary ninjas, but at least some extraordinary strength. How about being prepared? Isn't this just a solo with the nosy Spider-Man? 6. Wanda sat by the window, drinking milk tea and watching the fight between the two sides, while the crowd fled in all directions. She even shouted in her heart, "Come on. I have seen Azu's violent killings, I have seen the Godfather's indifference, and I have experienced the tortoise mentality of chopsticks. This scene before my eyes." In Wanda's eyes, it was similar to a street fight between gangsters. It was a bit lower grade, but it was still enjoyable to watch. But, The Godfather had warned her to stay away from superheroes, as she would become mentally retarded and unfortunate. So Wanda ignored Spider-Man. It is true that after having super ability, it is respectable to stand up and become a hero. But it's as if the story of Naruto is about a group of ninjas and a group of battlefield hyena mercenaries desperately pursuing peace. There are bright spots, but the core is funny. Superheroes, if they want to uphold Millikan values while being a hero, they are destined to play house. It is even said that superheroes have done more evil and harmed more people than villains. So, Wanda just needs to keep away from the superheroes. You don't need to be one of them. This is good for Godfather, myself, Azu, and the vegetables, fruits, cattle, sheep, chickens and ducks on the farm. This was when she was farming with Guan Fuyun and Azu on the farm. I realized it myself. When people are hungry, they need to eat. If people cultivate the land, they will have food to eat. If Spider-Man goes to farm and cultivates 100,000 acres a day, the food produced can feed the entire slums of New York. Who has nothing to eat and buy for $0? But he can't farm because there are no farmers in America, and the land only belongs to farmers and capital. In American cities, most people who have lost their jobs have no option of returning to their hometowns to farm. They can only become homeless people, or join gangs, become criminals, and become infinitely ugly in order to survive. That's the problem. This can't be solved by Iron Man or Spider-Man flying around the city twice, or Steve wearing a star-spangled flag and popping his butt. After understanding this, Wanda doesn't need to be like Azu, who has to ask Guan Fuyun to constantly bring up points, spoilers, teachings, and follow-ups. She knew how to do it herself. Such as now, she just needs to watch a play, watch the fun, make herself happy, and go home and tell her Godfather. He was also raised on the farm and stayed with Guan Fuyun. Azu learned the principles of official life. Wanda learned to have fun. Her face was calm, elegant and indifferent, but her heart was already explaining like crazy. Good. Now is the scene of Spider-Man vs Elite Monster Ninja. I'm Wanda, the farm narrator. Dream and Godfather stickers. We can see that the Elite Monster Ninja in red is looking directly at Spider-Man. His eyes are unruly. Is he trying to show off? Ah, yes. He started to show off. He was naming the dishes and saying that he was Nobu Yoshioka of the Hand. Who is he? He said that he had no intention of becoming an enemy of Spider-Man, but just wanted to kill me, not my buddy. Who the hell are you? Spider-Man rejected him. The two started fighting after a disagreement. In the second round, Spider-Man took the lead and launched a spider web cage. Spider web entangled. This move clears the enemy line very quickly, but obviously it can't deal with elite monsters. What's his name? The elite monster rolled, blocked the invincible frame, and dodged the spider web attack. He throws a knife. Spider-Man twitches and dodges. Is he Parkinson's disease? It can be seen that the two ignored each other's long range, and they could only close the distance. Two figures, one red and one red, are fighting together, indistinguishable. It can be seen that the elite monster ninja is different from the miscellaneous ninja. Not only does his move skills reach the peak, but his strength and speed also surpass humans. Did you get an injection? Did you take drugs? None. It is chi. There is a transparent aura lingering on the body of the elite monster, like a magic matrix, giving him powerful blessings. At the same time, fighting in the aura, Spider-Man seemed to be suppressed, and his operations were somewhat deformed. But Spider-Man is more powerful. Oh ho ho. It turns out that he has been holding back his strength to fight, but now he has started the second stage, releasing more power. The elite monster is sweating profusely. He threw a smoke bomb on the ground and was deducted 2 points for littering. Is he going to escape? No. With the cover of the smoke, the elite monster advanced instead of retreating. He tightened his abdomen, raised his anus, gathered energy in his left fist, and struck out with a punch that could break open a monument and crack a stone, carrying an invisible wave of energy. Spider-Man is backing up. What's going on? I can't understand. Everyone, wait a moment. I'll contact the Godfather and ask for an off-site analysis. Okay, I'm back. The Godfather said that this is called the Western mutated version of martial arts style. The Qigong of the elite monsters, according to the adaptation and not the random fabrication, originated from Kunlun, and is a kind of Qi training technique. Like the head of the hand, he can even slap a car away. The scariest thing about Qigong is not the external enhancement. Instead, it can cause internal injuries, penetrate the skin and muscles, and cause devastating blows to the enemy's internal organs and physiological system. Even Spider-Man has to stay away, otherwise he may be bruised and bruised. No, there is also a reversal. Spider-Man started the prop game. He seemed to be retreating, but in fact he used his webbing to pull the trash can and attack. Bang! The trash can hit the elite monster on the back of the head, and the elite monster jumped into the street. What a piece of garbage. The explanation ends here. Etc. There are experts too. It was a hardy battle. After dealing with Yoshioka Nobu, Spider-Man still couldn't relax and frowned. As a representative of street heroes, Spider-Man's business scope is very wide, ranging from $0 purchases to disasters that destroy cities and the world. He has to take care of them all. So I have a lot of connections. For example, he knows Daredevil and the Hand. In the current New York underground world, Kingpin is stirring up troubles and wants to unify all the gangs, and the Hand is behind him to help. This secret organization has existed in this corner of New York for more than 400 years. It's a terrifying beast. He, Peter Parker, will not be labeled as Peter Parker, right? In the past, Peter Parker would have been confident and fearless. But now is the point of Spider-Man 3. He can't even pay the rent. He has a dual identity, double obstacles, and he hasn't put on the Venom suit yet. Worse than shy. It got so bad that he began to doubt himself. Even if I'm in bad luck right now, I wouldn't be surprised. Inside the spider suit, the man inside, Peter Parker, complained about himself. The words have not yet finished. Boom! A transparent chi, similar to Yoshioka Nobu, but more powerful and surging, came out like an invisible hammer. Bang! Spider-Man was directly knocked away, spinning in the air, and then hit the ground. Q bounced a few times. Why did you hit your waist again? My back. Spider-Man said it hurt too much. He spat out a mouthful of blood and felt that his internal organs were messy and warm. The mess was caused by some organs being shattered by the anger. It's hot because his resilience is not weak and is working to save himself. Look up. I saw another corner. First a black crutch that looked like a tumor came out, and then a wrinkled old face emerged. Like an old witch in a fairy tale. Mrs. Gao. Spider-Man said coldly. Madame Gao, one of the 5 fingers of the Hand, is a traitor who defected from Kunlun. This old Biden has lived for more than 400 years, and his attainments in chi refining are as high as 3 or 4 stories high. Spider-Man knew that Daredevil next door was defeated by her in one move and was no match for him. Now he's on the street too. Run quickly. Spider-Man shouted at the top of his lungs, and when he looked back, Wanda was still sitting by the window. She ate her snacks as if it didn't matter to her. No, Guliang, you. Who knows, family members. Spider-Man was also speechless. He wanted to speak, but was knocked unconscious by Mrs. Gao in the next second. Like Spider-Man knocking out Nobu Yoshioka. These people don't seem to know how to last hit. Wanda complained. Then, she saw Mrs. Gao, who seemed to be in her twilight years, spread her wings like a rock and turn over like a kite, and actually jumped up. She smashed the window, shook off the shards of glass, and walked towards Wanda, saying some pretentious words as she walked. What a little mouse that can hide. There is no one on the farm. Tell me, where did the man in black and the young man with blonde hair go? Say it and it will give you a good time. Hearing this, Wanda frowned. Why did you go to my farm? Didn't I tell you? There is no one on the farm. Mrs. Gao said casually, feeling that she was very humorous. Maybe I stepped on a few acres of vegetable seedlings, maybe I killed some cattle and sheep. Who knows? Quote exclamation mark quote. This made Wanda become serious, with a straight face. Anyone is fine. She would be happy to see them wearing fancy clothes, fighting in the streets and putting on dramas. But it won't do if you step on your family's soil. This has touched the rice noodles. Yoshioka Nobu, Mrs. Gao, Hand Wei. If they dare to step on the vegetable field today, won't they go to heaven tomorrow? There is already a way to take death, we can't bear it. Crushing bones and raising ashes. Must crush bones and raise ashes. She stood up, Her hands seemed to have pulled a scarlet ball of light from the void, and her eyes were flushed. Oh, are you also one of the extraordinary people? It seems that this time the goal is really correct. Ha ha. When the old witch saw this, her heart skipped a beat, but she didn't take it too seriously. The most indispensable thing in New York was Superman. Who knows if it looks scary but actually only lights up into special effects. Think so. Mrs. Gao's rickety body suddenly straightened up, she crutched a little, and the full chi pushed forward and spread like waves. He really has the demeanor of a peerless master. But in front of her is Wanda. Wanda tilted her head and used the chaos magic power as telekinesis. Before Mrs. Gao had time to react, she was embedded on the floor and unable to move. Just like Professor X Charles's bald girl fighting Wolverine. Just seconds. This result was completely beyond Mrs. Gao's imagination, and she was shocked. But see, with the sound of ta-ta-da footsteps, Wanda was wrapped around chaos. Her face was as delicate as a porcelain doll, stained with blush, and her lips were as bright as blood. Wearing a white-brown school uniform and white over-the-knee socks, the whole body seems to be surrounded by scarlet illusory flames, and the JK skirt rises and falls in waves. She looked like a college student who wanted to save the world after class, and like a female devil lurking in the classroom, walking up the scarlet steps step by step. Mrs. Gao panicked. Hey, can we reconcile? I want you to call me Wanda when I'm happy, but what do you call me when you're unhappy? In front of the Scarlet Witch. What about Mrs. Gao, hand club? They are just trash fish, the spicy chicken among the spicy chickens. She ignored Mrs. Gao's Joker words. He directly used psychokinesis to invade Mrs. Gao's brain, read the memory, and find the secrets of the hand. Psychological power does not equal mental power. But people with extraordinary talents can transform mental power into telekinesis. For example, Charles's bald girl. Therefore, the functions and effects of the two are similar. Certainly, what Wanda possesses is far from being as simple as mental power and telekinesis, but it lacks the explanation from the Dark God book. Chaos magic power only has the ability to fly big bricks. This alone is enough to deal with 99% of the characters. Such as now. Just because of the rough extraction of information, Mrs. Gao was shattered by Scarlet, and her withered skin and flesh seemed to be cremated and torn into pieces. Turn into ashes. In the Marvel world, sometimes it's really hard to want to die. Whether they are villains or superheroes, they can always win the resurrection game in various ways. Even the Hand, which is like a miscellaneous fish, claims to be immortal and has the means to extend its life and resurrect. But the prerequisite for continued life is to leave a part. Like Wanda, she directly used chaos magic power to nirvana every cell and even spirit of Mrs. Gao. What does she live for? Since then, for the first time since the Hand Association was founded, there will be a real dead ball on the finger. Gao Mrs. Gao. Wanda did not forget to replenish the elite monsters on the ground and crush them into ashes. Then go straight to the ninja base camp. After all, the Godfather said so. To kill, you must kill cleanly, and you must be thorough in your conduct. It is necessary to accurately grasp the pain points and difficulties of the villain, drive the killing through innovation, and eliminate the root of the problem to avoid the villain's updated version and iterative play style, which will cause trouble to daily life. Hurry up, don't delay school. Wanda muttered. At this time, Spider-Man was still fainting. New York City, a financial building. It looks bright and bright on the outside, but in fact the bottom of the building is completely hollowed out and is where the Grand Temple of the Hand is located. Since betraying Kunlun, he came to the American continent and established the Hand. This power, which has been developing for hundreds of years and is still a gangster, has been doing everything in its power and prosperity. Occasionally they will be matched up with a well-matched opponent, such as Daredevil. Occasionally, a few key members will be killed by Daredevil. But it doesn't matter, we can play in the playoffs anyway. But today is different. Mrs. Gao was crippled, completely crippled, and couldn't be resurrected even with their secret weapon, the Dragon Bone. The death of an immortal. This makes the other hands combine the other 4 of the 5 fingers, and the mentality is immediately shattered. After all, these 5 beasts stole a dragon bone and betrayed Kunlun because they were greedy for eternal life and pleasure. Now Mrs. Gao is completely dead. So who's next? Not only Mrs. Gao, but also Shin and the ninja soldiers are also dead and burned to ashes. The other party is extremely vicious. One of the 5 fingers, Alexandra said solemnly, first of all, exclude it from being a superhero. Although superheroes either have this or that ability, or are indestructible, they can always win the resurrection match, which has caused headaches for the hand for more than a day or two. But they have an amazing divine synchronicity. Basically there is a no-kill principle. Even the most heinous criminals, such as those who tortured and killed countless people, were only imprisoned. How awesome is this? Especially for an eternal force like the hand. Even if it accidentally fails, if you go in and lock it up for 100 years, maybe the crime will be legalized. So they are confident. But now, someone has broken this unwritten rule. And the kill was particularly successful. This is simply braving the disdain of the world, breaking the laws of our ancestors, and we must punish both black and white. Revenge. Must take revenge severely. This is beyond doubt, so the next question is only one. Who is the enemy? Alexandra said deeply. Have no idea. Quote. Squeak. The other 3 fingers made some noises. Everyone looked at each other, and then realized that there was really no way to lock the target. Because the opponent's attack was too brutal and too clean. There were no witnesses, no soldiers who came back to report, or even like the superheroes, after defeating the evil, they were cheered on the spot wearing fancy clothes, and they posed in a few coquettish ways to boost their popularity. Nothing. So much so that the hand originally prepared a systematic intelligence system to deal with the Chaoying. It's completely useless. It's very uncomfortable. Being handsome is a lifelong thing. If you can even abandon being handsome, then this person must be extremely vicious and insane. How about we call the police? Alexandra continued. He felt like he was Kogoro Mori now, reasoning hard. Quote. 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 As soon as these words came out, it was difficult for the other 3 fingers to give face. After all, although the hand has been developing for hundreds of years, it is still doing dirty work, human trafficking, and tinkering with firearms. Looks so dirty. But aren't the American presidents also engaged in illegal immigration, arms trafficking, and drug legalization? We are all decent people in the civilized world. How can I call the police if I go out to fool around? Don't you want to lose face? Dong dong dong. Fortunately, when the atmosphere was at its most awkward, an accident happened. Not knowing who was knocking outside, Alexandra shouted, "Come in." Then, the door opened. The world outside the door was peaceful, with corpses everywhere, and all the ninjas were penetrated, crushed, and burned by scarlet energy. A very cute doll girl stood outside the door and said politely, "Are you the fingers of the hand? Can I kill you?" "Get out," Alexandra said seriously. She meant it. Then, her chest was penetrated by scarlet energy. The magic power of chaos changes everything and destroys all things according to Wanda's will. The probability is 100%. Open-minded and bleeding. Alexandra struggled and wondered, "How did you get here?" "I came by taxi," Wanda said honestly. Hearing this, Alexandra almost cried, and the other 3 leaders really cried. "Not sister you. You are so awesome, you can kill the hand alone, don't you know how to fly? If you come flying like Iron Man or Spider-Man, we will definitely be prepared. If it doesn't work, just like the Captain of the United States, dress up in strange clothes and carry some equipment with you. Let others know at a glance, back off, this person is showing off. Then we can also find you, right? You even took a taxi. As for being so down to earth, it's so immoral, you've ruined the atmosphere in New York. Gah. Bang bang bang. Like squeezing a bubble, he crushed the head of the hand leader. Wanda finally felt more comfortable. I avenge you, the vegetable seedlings that were trampled on the farm. Wanda thought in her heart. Then, she didn't leave, but continued deeper. Dragon bone, Kunlun, is it something from my godfather's hometown? She was interested in the secrets of the hand, or she thought Guan Fuyun would be interested. But, just like a clearance game, after clearing the troops and killing the boss, the real boss will appear. As Wanda went deeper, the hand's weapons and trump cards were contaminated with the power of the demon named Beast, and Black Sky was carefully cultivated. It flashed out with a swish sound. His whole body was shrouded in black energy, with 2 knives stuck in his back. The energy seemed to be like a living thing, gathering behind him, forming an abstract demonic face with a bloody grin. Crack. Then Wanda put her hands together and swatted the beast in the black sky to death like a mosquito. Scared me. The little witch patted her chest in shock. These ninjas, even if they were not strong enough, would appear suddenly. As annoying and disgusting as cockroaches. She waved. The scarlet, psychic power, is like an endless blood-colored tide, with waves changing and sweeping underground. Although she does not have super hearing or clairvoyance. But every ray of thought power is equivalent to an extension of her senses, outlining the outline of the world for her. Kill the lurking ninjas by the way. This is very efficient. Wanda soon saw a huge keel that was neither Chinese nor Western, about a few 100 meters long. Embedded in rock formations like fossils. The bone powder of this dragon bone is the secret of the hand's resurrection. Take a sip and the body will be warm. Certainly, Guan Fuyun doesn't need it, and Wanda won't let Guan Fuyun get used to it. But just like Bucky's 1 and 2 arms, wouldn't it be cool if this thing could be pulled back and used as a specimen or figure? Even if it is used as firewood and played with, it is considered to be the best use of it, right? Wanda tidied up and put the dragon bones into the bracelet. Then she was surprised to find out. In the hole under the huge keel, there is actually an altar with huge amounts of eggs placed there. It's really big. The egg's shell is snow white and its body is as tall as 2 people, bigger than Wanda. Quote? How many meals of egg fried rice can this make? Wanda was shocked. Next to Guan Fuyun, when she sees something now, her first reaction is whether it is edible, and then whether it tastes good. Get rich. Such a big egg looked like a dragon egg, and Wanda couldn't even imagine how delicious it was. She packed it up and took it away. By the way, the underground base of the hand was destroyed, as well as the financial building used as a disguise. Rumble. This is a force that gives the neighborhood office a headache and even scares the Avengers and Defenders Alliance. Just like that, it became history. Pity. In their memories, the guy who issued the mission to deal with Guan Fuyun did not show up during the whole process, or left no identity information. All I know is that he is a Militian warlord. When school was over, Guan Fuyun and Azu came to pick up Wanda. The whole family was having a good time, and everything was normal. It was completely invisible. During the day, everyone was busy killing people and exterminating them, and blood flowed like rivers. Back to the farm. That's the way it is. Wanda briefly talked about the hand and the Millennium Warlords, and then the 3 of them observed 3 seconds of silence for the trampled Kai Meow. That's the corn I planted myself. Could have made corn soup. Azu kept pouting, taking out the adamantium sword and gesticulating. He was really angry. Pity. The hand has made Wanda miserable, and now he has nowhere to vent. As a human being, you must not be internally consumed, but you must open your mind, Azu. Guan Fuyun was teaching earnestly on the side, like an old father, telling the truth of life. There is no need to know who it is. Put arrogance against arrogance. You can just kill any American warlord and let them know our attitude. It's still revenge. That's right. Azu's eyes lit up. He said that even to death, his father still knows how to be a good person. He was happy again. After eating, go out to warm up and digest food. Guan Fuyun said with concern again. Listen to Dad. Azu felt warm in his heart. The 3 of them fought for a while, treating it as family entertainment. Then his eyes fell on the dragon egg. What kind of pot should be used to cook this? Guan Fuyun was thinking. Make it into baked eggs. Azu was also greedy. Gudong. Wanda swallowed directly. She could only describe Guan Fuyun's cooking skills as miraculous. She really has had enough of white people eating. Wait. Seeing that the children were really hungry, Guan Fuyun took out a chopping board and kitchen knife and planned to crack eggs. Crack. Then I saw the egg cracking on its own. No egg white or yolk comes out. There was only one Godzilla, with its head sticking out from its eggshell, just in the eye of Guan Fuyun, who was wearing an apron and carrying green onions, ginger and garlic. Gah! Little Godzilla screamed. He thought he had met a keeper. He opened his mouth and took a bite of green onion, ginger and garlic, smacking his lips. It tasted okay. Is this some kind of swamp puppy? Azu. Is it edible? Wanda wondered. Can it taste on its own? Guan Fuyun. Knock on the horse. It turns out this is not a dragon egg, but a Godzilla egg. Yes, it's the most famous Godzilla, who has the most monster movies, and who can breathe atoms. It's exactly that variety. As a well-known Japanese monster, Godzilla once joined Marvel because of its popularity. And it's the main world of Marvel, not some other multi-universe. In the comics, Nick Fury even complained that as the head of S.H.I.E.L.D., he actually had to fight with a monster that could breathe atomic energy. And Tony Schitt also developed anti-Godzilla armor. So it's not surprising that Guan Fuyun picked up a Godzilla egg. What a fart. This is outrageous. Guan Fuyun could only scratch his head for a while. He asked Wanda to take out the information and files of the hand. Check it out. Good guy, there has never been a dragon. That keel is most likely a cracked ancient Ghidorah. It's just that the ashes have been eaten for hundreds of years and they can no longer recognize their original appearance. To prepare for a rainy day. After all, the keel will be used up one day. The hand is always looking for the behemoth. They once spent a lot of money to go to an isolated island full of giant pythons to collect blood orchids. They also visited Skull Island and discovered huge amounts of orangutans. The Godzilla egg was accidentally discovered during this series of troubles and dug out of the ground. After expert appraisal by the hand, they believed it was a dragon egg. It's actually a closed loop of logic. Guan Fuyun was confused for a moment, and what made him even more speechless was that after confirming each other's looks, Godzilla seemed to regard him as his father. In the setting, Godzilla is a monster that lives in the Permian and is at the apex of the ecosystem, and represents the will of Blue Star to a certain extent. Godzilla in the big movie is said to be the last descendant of the Godzilla clan. It was hidden underground and escaped the mass extinction of life in the Permian. In the modern world of the movie, it was reawakened by frequent nuclear experiments. And this one in front of me. It's a similar situation. It was also buried deep in the ground and never woke up, but was dug out by the hand and offered as a treasure. If it is not interfered by external forces, it is not unearthed in the country of Shaori, and it is not exposed to enough nuclear radiation. It probably will be a coward for the rest of its life. But the problem is, it meets Wanda, and it meets one of the most incredible powers of chaos in the Marvel Universe. It also met Guan Fuyun in the system. Bite. Congratulations to the host for adopting baby No. 3. Godzilla. Reward. The farm area is expanded by 50 acres. The villa is expanded and rooms are added. In Godzilla's house, the infinite space setting has been added. The space inside is infinitely high and infinitely large, but it is desolate and everything is withered. 6. Apart from 6, Guan Fuyun doesn't know what else to say. Is this just a leak of anger from his father? Gah. Then I saw a 1.8 meter tall Godzilla crawling out of the egg that was 2 people tall. It opened its big, sparkling, watery eyes, as if they were about to emit lasers, and its whole body arched cutely, leaning into Guan Fuyun's arms. Push away and arch again. Push away and arch again. Guan Fuyun stretched out his hand to scratch its head. Godzilla was like a puppy being stroked by its owner, wagging its tail happily. Strictly speaking, this Godzilla was born with an organ like an atomic furnace, like a walking nuclear bomb. In this family, is he really just a little puppy? It's so cute. Dad, just don't eat it, can you raise it for me? Azu also touched it. This kind of naturally weird and cool animal pet is really annoying to a boy of his age. And after getting started, Azu was surprised to find that this swamp puppy was actually moderately soft and hard. Its belly is as soft as a pillow for Azu. Its back, those protruding parts like mountain peaks, are just right hard, like the stinging balls of a snake, which are naturally itchy. I can't even imagine how great it would be to roll around on it. Azu is a little eager. What a good toy. It can bite people when released. It's so cool. Then what shall we eat? Wanda never forgets her original intention. Guan Fuyun. It can be seen that she is really hungry. Let Dad kill pigs and cows. Instead of eating mapo tofu today, we will eat beef and sour bamboo shoots hot pot. Azu acted like a baby like crazy. Dad. Dad. What? Ma. Po. Do. Fu. Wanda looked at Azu, like a real brother and sister looking at each other. They disliked each other so much that she was about to vomit and said, "You did it on purpose, right? Dog Azu. Shouldn't I call you brother? You are only 80 million years old. I was deceived by you. That's me who came first, ha 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 ha, are you angry or not?" Don't want to talk to the dog. Woof woof woof. Gungungan, let you raise it, let you raise it, what is the name of this thing? The two looked down upon each other, rolled their eyes, and quarreled. Guan Fuyun interrupted and said nonsense in a serious tone, let's call it Godzilla. Judging from his physique, he will be a good player in the future. Good name. Azu. Good name. Wanda. Exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark. Azu was angry. Why are you trying to imitate me? You childish fellow. Wanda was not willing to be outdone, just a little bit. The two of them were so noisy that they went out to farm. Wanda was possessed by the magic power of chaos. With a wave of her little hand, the land was plowed, and the seeds were buried in it. Godzilla, let's go. Not to be outdone, Azu tied a plow to Godzilla. Good guy, it's more convenient than a plowing machine. The land for farm expansion was quickly fully utilized. A place full of vitality. That's great. Guan Fuyun watched for a while, then pulled off a pile of dragon bones and went to make charcoal hot pot. Godzilla is really good for Azu. After all, one likes to smoke Big Ivan, and the other shines brightly in the sun. Wouldn't it be beautiful if two heavyweights team up and fly into space together to absorb the rising eastern twilight crazily? Although the radiation is good, he is a little uncomfortable. If that doesn't work, you can find information about Dr. Octopus, and you can use Hydra or an artificial sun to feed Godzilla. This one is more powerful and cleaner. At the same time, on an unknown island deep in the ocean, the primitive jungle is dense. The beast roared. Boom. The landslide and the ground cracked, and an insect 50 or 60 meters tall with an inverted triangular head opened its dark red eyes. It has huge wings that cover the sky and the sun, and two pairs of long sickle-like legs. Every time it steps forward, hills are smashed into pieces. It's Mudo, a Hollywood original monster. It is also an ancient monster like Godzilla. Because they like to lay eggs in Godzilla's body, both sides regard each other as their old enemies. They can sense each other. Just like what was shown in the big movies, Godzilla noticed Mudo's awakening and ran over to give it two big dicks even though he had to travel thousands of miles across the ocean. Now the situation is just reversed. Godzilla was still a cub, madly loved and ignorant. Mudo has grown up, he is excited, he roars, and he wants to kill his old enemy. But it can't get out. This island seems to have a shield from the outside world, and all the giants are restricted. Occasionally people can come in, but they can't get out. Neither Mudo nor his wife could figure out why. But it can sense Godzilla, and it can also feel that the cover is becoming fragile. It crashes crazily, and one day it will be able to break through the shackles and fly freely. Bump, come on, use force. Don't stop. At this time, under the island, there is a dark sea area that cannot be discovered by any detector. A strange noise was made. The owner of the voice. He was an old man wearing tattered ancient armor and ragged clothes, like a smelly beggar wearing a torn rag. He was clearly sitting under the sea, but his skin was cracked and withered, like an elongated, skinny stick insect, as if it might quake at any moment. But this is impossible, because he is Kull, a long-forgotten father who was supposed to be the god king of Asgard. He had a long life. His god's name is Jormungandr, the fearful serpent. Because he lost to Odin. It has been sealed here for too long. How long exactly? The big snake doesn't know. But he knew that the 8 most powerful sages under him had been defeated, and the hammer had been scattered and sealed in various places. He knew that there was no longer a follower of his in this world. Unless he can get out and spread fear again. Originally there was little hope for this matter. But Mudo's sudden madness and the weakening of the seal's power gave him hope. Orochi understood that Odin, who was sitting on the throne, was finally old. This was the fate of the God King. And he is stagnant because of the seal, and young because of hatred. The current Orochi is like Odin when he was young, powerful and unknown, and his power needs to be demonstrated, and he even dares to use his sword against the gods. Crash it, crash it. I can feel your eagerness and anger. When the seal is broken, no matter who you want to kill, I will help you. And I will reward you as a divine beast. The serpent's gibbering affects reality and exudes the power of the Father. At the same time, Hulk capture team, set off. In the Snake Shield Bureau, Lu Dan also became very energetic. But, this so-called special operation, secret plan. The entire process was exposed within Hydra's field of vision. Even Guan Fuyun can watch the live broadcast and use it to prepare meals. Farm. After repeated expansions, Wanda's room and Godzilla's room were added, and Azu's room also gained solid features. And Guan Fuyun's kitchen is naturally not to be far behind. The kitchen has also been expanded, adding figurine trophy shelves, a large round table, and a large screen. Yes, Guan Fuyun likes to cook directly in the kitchen. By the way, other hobbies are also incorporated, such as this moment. While watching the live broadcast of the operation to capture Hulk, Guan Fuyun, Azu, Wanda, and Godzilla each sat in their own seats, with a steaming sour bamboo shoots and beef hotpot in the middle. The sour bamboo shoots are smooth and as white and tender as a girl's thigh. The beef is cut into large pieces, thicker than thin and thinner than thick. Roll and scald it in hot oil, then scoop it out, dip it in water, and eat it with a few mint leaves. The taste is extremely refreshing. It was so cool that Azu took a photo, captioned it, "Daddy's delicious food," and then posted it on Douyin. So does Wanda. How else to say that products are culture? Now half of Americans are using Douyin, and Guan Fuyun even thinks that if he wants to run for president, he should just use Douyin to compete. Anyway, they are choosing one of the two idiots promoted by Capital. The program should be quite effective. He raised and lowered the entire rockets for fun. Bite. Godzilla, baby number 3, has increased gratitude. 10%, 20%. Ah, I almost forgot about you. Guan Fuyun turned his head and saw Godzilla sniffing the beef on his plate like a puppy. It hesitantly came forward, looked back and forth, and scratched. It's thinking, what the hell is this? Can it be eaten? Finally, it gave up thinking, took a bite, and started chewing in its mouth. At that time, my eyes lit up. Oh my god, this is so delicious. I'm going to show off my horse. Little Godzilla nuzzled Azu affectionately and begged for food when he was hungry. Azu was very happy when he saw this and quickly gave him some food. I took a look at the live broadcast. In the screen, Hulk stood in the center of an unknown city, tapping his breasts crazily. He stepped on a deformed car, roared to the sky, and roared into the clouds. It's like a wild beast announcing that it is the king of the steel jungle. But the next moment, boom, the strong light suddenly brightened, condensed into a beam that penetrated the sky, and struck like a battering ram. The fierce energy impact made Hulk stagger. It turned its head. I saw a red gold iron shell falling from the sky, and the flames of the injector burned away the smoke and dust. Bang! Iron Man landed on the ground with a standard, superhero landing, raised his head and locked the Hulk. More armors flew behind him and assembled into a huge mechanical anti-Hulk armor. I found you, Dr. Banner. Inside the iron shell, Tony Shiitake said playfully. Are his knees made of iron? Azu was asking questions. No, then it won't hurt if he lands like this. If you succeed in pretending, it won't hurt. Superheroes are so perverted. That's right, Azu asked again. Then if I hit his iron shell, or shake it wildly, will the brains of the people inside be shaken evenly? Yes, Guan Fuyun replied. Don't say such outrageous things while eating. Unlike Marvel where popularity determines everything, Steve opens Thanos 50-50. The people in the black robes still talk about physics. It's just that the performance is a little worse. Therefore, black robes are not suitable for eating and watching. Oh, Azu shrank his head. Everyone continues to watch the live broadcast. Hulk, smash it. Just as he was showing off, he was suddenly beaten by Iron Man and took away his strength. Hulk said he couldn't stand it. Who is not a popular character anymore? It roared angrily, and its footsteps were like an elephant beating a drum, and its astonishing momentum was like it could tear Iron Man's hand apart when it pounced. In fact, it is indeed the case. When Iron Man wears Mark series armor normally, his style is stable and his appearance is as cool as the wind. As long as you put on the anti-XX armor, you will be torn apart by the enemy immediately. Just like now, Iron Man's hand cannon is not worth mentioning in front of Hulk's physique, so the sneak attack has some effect for the first time. Then it became photorejuvenation. Hulk roared and approached, smashing cars and buildings, like an innate civil body, raising rubble and dust all over the sky. Its green fist, bigger than a sandbag, penetrated the air, and the white fist wind evolved into a vortex, causing all the rubble and gravel to roar over, and then it was shattered and turned into smoke and haze. Opposite, the reactor pushes forward, flames erupt, and the anti-Hulk armor punches forward. Bang! The fists struck each other, like drums beating on the earth and roaring in the sky. The air waves swayed outward in circles, and the dust particles flying all over the street were blown away in an instant. Hulk maintains a forward-punching posture, as does the anti-Hulk armor. The two sides seemed to have a tacit understanding. Blocked, Tony was overjoyed that his research was indeed fruitful. Then he saw Hulk throw his second arm and punch. Boom! The steel joints of the anti-Hulk armor were directly shattered, and the iron pieces flew apart, piercing through several passers-by at random. Sting, sting, current overflow, mechanical failure, Jarvis red temperature alarm. Thump, Tony was also knocked out, and the anti-Hulk armor disintegrated. He dragged the broken iron shell and half knelt on the ground in a battle-scarred posture. All I can think about is, how on earth did Guan Fuyun stop this kind of monster, Invincible Hulk? It doesn't matter, I will take action. At a time when people were panicking, Milligan appeared wearing a star-striped flag and carrying a shield. People started cheering. Then Hulk scratched his head, stretched out his hand, grabbed the shield, and threw it again. The shield was like a dart, splitting a group of people up and down. Steve was stunned. No, bro, is there a way to grab the shield? Everyone else was dumbfounded. Has he always been so confident? Azu lives in Bangbu, and Steve is just a fool in his eyes. Such a person might die suddenly if he were in the Walt Company, even on a movie set. Why can he show up and show off? No way. Who made him the leader of the War Eagle? Guan Fuyun was also speechless. Thinking about it from another person's perspective, if there is a person wearing the Dongda flag, the original setting is only several times that of ordinary people, but because of the correct buffs, he can show off wherever he goes, and he can fight with everyone, and all kinds of gods and demons can do it. Listen to his command and let the 1,500-year-old Thor pour you some wine when you're done. Then you shouldn't be sprayed to death. Maybe the buff plays a role. Hulk is about to punch Steve and make him mentally retarded. Storm and Cyclops arrived belatedly and took action to repel the Hulk. Relax, kid. You are not inherently bad, it's just that the whole world has been violent to you since you were born. The world kisses you with pain, and you should repay it with song. Professor. At the same time, Black Widow, who was doing soy sauce on the side, also stepped forward to hold hands and comfort her with words. Under the dual attack of body plus mind, Hulk gradually lost his anger. Braised egg. Mom, fake. In the end, Black Widow is more useful. This abstract operation made his face darken. 6. Guan Fuyun watched it with gusto. To be honest, the actor who plays the Hulk publicly expressed his support for the ceasefire between Palestine and Israel before he traveled through time. Even the leader Fuyun's favorable impression of Green Fat Banner has increased a lot. If it wasn't inappropriate, he would have won. A similar situation exists with Hela, the goddess of death. She can lift and crush Thor's hammer. Guan Fuyun approves of it, she is good as a god king. It's too delicious. On the side, Azu said that he was full, felt guilty, and wanted to go out for some activities. Kill an American warlord for fun. New York, night. Whoosh. In the sky, Azu was wearing a black Superman suit, overlooking the human city. There were planes flying beside him, and his eyes were gradually turning scarlet. He put his hands on his hips, thinking about whom to trouble. Who should I look for? Daily Bugle. Good news, Ross successfully captured Hulk. Win. Steve Rogers reappears. What is the mystery between him and Ross? Shocked. Rose is so great. He really makes me cry to death. Azu is looking for prey, and overwhelming publicity began on the big screen in Times Square. This noisy media gave Azu a target. If I hadn't met my father, I might have been a hero, promoted by the media. Azu murmured. Popularity, fan index, support rate. This is the truth that What Company has instilled in him since he was a child. In the past, he didn't know what he wanted. He felt that he should be what the company expected. But now, Azu has escaped his sad fate. He is no longer a packaged, perfect product. He is a consistent, imperfect, living person. All the time. Azu has a secret that he didn't even tell Guan Fuyun. The secret is that every day when he falls asleep, he dreams that he is back in the laboratory. I dreamed that I had been studied and experimented until I grew up, and then I was packaged by Walter Company and became a native of the Seven. The people of the motherland have infinite glory on the surface. In fact, he has no relatives or affection at all. He has everything but nothingness. The scientists and wet nurses who raised him were afraid of him. The 7 people who were with him feared and loathed him, and betrayed and deceived him one by one. His son's mother hates him. His son rebelled against him. Even his biological father, the soldier boy, brought Oi to kill him and killed him with a chest cannon. From start to finish, the people of the motherland are just weak and giant babies. Azu dreamed of the people of his motherland, and dreamed that the people of his motherland were talking to the mirror, and he was just a fragment in the mirror. The two looked at each other, as if they could see each other's lives. That moment, Azu saw envy in the eyes of the people of his motherland. He was so envious that he went crazy and went crazy. He cried and rolled on the ground and kicked his legs. Azu smiled. Because he didn't have to grow up in a laboratory, he grew up beside Guan Fuyun in the sunshine. He has a father, a farm, and vegetables and fruits that he sowed with his sweat. He also has a relative, Wanda, and a cute pet, Godzilla. Looking at the universe, wherever the sun shines, he can feel Guan Fuyun's teachings. Just close your eyes. Azu can see a spiritual pillar. As long as his father is here, even Professor X, the #1 spiritual master, cannot control him. He is free and has everything. Fame, power, wealth, are all insignificant. Be it Hydra, the company he conceived in his mind, or the company that hasn't been launched yet. None of it matters. The important thing is that he finally understands and has love. Even if Guan Fuyun is an ordinary person, Azu can control himself. He will never lose control again, and he will never lose again. Even if Guan Fuyun is a sanitation worker, Azu will ride on the garbage truck carefully and happily. He is still his father's treasure. On that day, Guan Fuyun ran desperately, stood in front of tens of thousands of people, blocked the hatred, and hugged him. It is the eternal light in Azu's heart. That photo is Azu's favorite and proudest moment. But now, the popularity and traffic of that photo were actually robbed by Ross. For this reason, Azu decided to weigh him up. Certainly. At this moment, with the reminder from the dream, what Azu wanted to kill most was actually the soldier boy and his other self. The bull demon defeated the city in a certain building. It's gone up. It's gone up. Mr. Ross, after the appearance of the American captain, your approval rate continues to soar. The subordinates rushed in excitedly. HMPH, it's all under control. Ross was holding a pipe in his mouth, like a 5-star general in Cuz. He commented, "This time, who else can stop me? Who else? I won ma." Boom. Before he finished speaking, Azu fell from the sky and directly smashed the houses one by one. Coming like a Mephisto. In an instant, General Ross's impassioned acceptance speech came to an abrupt end. He was stunned. At this moment, Rose's heart almost stopped beating. He has done countless wicked things in his life, and his hands are stained with blood. But the pressure and suffocation at this moment are very different from the feeling of having a gun pointed at your head and a knife held on your neck. This feeling is like a mayfly and an elephant. Just because they meet, the weaker one has no other choice but to be crushed. Not even a conversation. Azu's eyes immediately turned red. Etc. Do you want money? Do you want power? I'll give it to you. I can give it to you. You will be my subordinate. No, you will be my boss. Ross talked crazily, but was still penetrated by heat vision and lost an arm. He was trembling. He was desperate. It shouldn't be. It's obvious that the plan was successful, and it's obvious that he has regained support, popularity, and votes, but what's going on with this sense of powerlessness? Brother, where did you come from? Could you please say something? Don't be too arrogant. Wait, arrogant. Arrogant. Sudden. Ross was shocked and stunned. At this moment, he thought of himself and the people he had killed. At that time, he was just as arrogant and arrogant. And at this moment, his helplessness, despair, weakness, humbleness, is it what those people feel? It turns out that Ross is just an insignificant little Kayla Rice who is nothing like a dog. If someone wants to kill you, kill him. How ironic. Ross closed his eyes in despair, and his entire body was burned to ashes by the heat vision, leaving no residue behind. Whoosh! After killing Ross, Azu took off from Woohoo, humming a little tune and in a beautiful mood. At this time, Odin, who successfully captured the Hulk and returned to the Imperial Court, heard that the person who took over Hulk was gone. The Russians are so bad that they can no longer pay the final payment of the project. Spiced corned egg. The braised egg said in an elegant and easygoing manner. He racked his brains and planned carefully, thinking about the possibility of failure in the mission and how to deal with Rose's torture. But I never expected that Hulk would come back and Rose would be here. This is just like getting married, and Jill is gone. Are you here to be funny, brother? And so far, I don't even know who did it. Do today's villains dislike showing off so much? It's better to let Hulk go to Xavier Academy for the gifted first. I can also be a spiritual mentor. After learning the situation, Professor X said this. He is the mutant Charles. But the extraordinary ones in this world are not just mutants. People like Spider-Man and Iron Man will never encounter the dilemma of mutants at all. Charles felt that maybe he should make more friends. This can also be regarded as reflection and progress after being beaten by Azu. That's all we have to do. Braised Egg replied. He was happy to let go of the burden. At the same time, in the kitchen, Wanda used her chaos magic power to wash pots and dishes, while Godzilla was dozing off on Guan Fuyun, who was dozing off on the chair. The scene is warm and farm-like. The only things that disturbed all of this were the expanding and spinning sparks and the sudden appearance of boiled eggs. The Ancient One mage is here. Gah! Suddenly frightened, little Godzilla stood up straight, his throat vaguely lit up, as if he was about to fire an Italian cannon. Quote? Wanda was stunned, and then looked at Guan Fuyun. Ancient One, Charles's sister, Nick Fury. Guan Fuyun opened his eyes and muttered something. Then he imagined a meeting with 3 boiled eggs and a braised egg and radish, and he laughed out loud for no reason. Ancient One. She watched calmly. When people live a long time, they can encounter any situation, and they have long become accustomed to it. She didn't just watch either. Crack! Ancient One snapped his fingers, and the surrounding space suddenly changed layer upon layer, collapsing, rotating. This is the mirror space, the home of the magician. But there was no danger in the home court, just a tea table and a few cups of tea. Ancient One sat uprightly in his seat, and then pushed a cup of tea towards Guan Fuyun. The meaning is very clear. Guan Fuyun, I'm here to negotiate terms. Guan Fuyun signaled the little witch and little Godzilla to calm down, then picked up the teacup, took a big sip like a cow, wiped his mouth and said, Master, have you tried to kill me, or expel or seal me? Yes, Ancient One said calmly. Did it succeed? Guan Fuyun asked. What do you think? Ancient One asked, looking at the weirdo Guan Fuyun with a helpless look. Ancient One said calmly, as the Supreme Mage, my duty is to maintain the security of the dimension. You are actually a dimensional intruder. So, yes. In countless possible futures, we have indeed fought, and I have used all my means against you. But the result is failure, without exception. After experiencing long-planned confrontations that we have never met before, I think we can choose to live in harmony. Guan Fuyun translated it, which means, I can't beat him, it's so annoying. I want to retire and I want to be a salty fish. Let's stop tormenting each other, okay? Then I'll be relieved. Guan Fuyun said, it's easy to talk to people who have read the script. And it is really a wonderful experience to make friends with a being who is suspected of being a super heavenly father like the Ancient One. Yes, she is the strongest among the starting heavenly fathers, and will most likely surpass the heavenly father level. Although the way Ancient One exited by throwing herself to death was funny, she is one of the few beings in the Marvel Universe who can contact the origin god. She threw herself to death in order to retire completely, pursue eternity, travel the universe, and pretend to be cool. I caught a glimpse of the Ancient One's bald head looking at Wanda with admiration. Guan Fuyun said, you are a bit crazy. Vulgar words. Ancient One drank tea and said slowly, however, this child is indeed a treasure. Do you want to accept her as a disciple? Guan Fuyun also thought about it. A born evil Uchiha. No, a girl who was born with evil power. She suffered a lot and had deep hatred. She became a disciple of a peerless master. In the end, she had the Book of Darkness in one hand and the Book of Emperor Weixin in the other. Good and evil were united. Invincible. How pleasant it sounds. That's the plan. Ancient One directly admitted, she is better than Stephen Strange and more suitable to be the Supreme Mage. That's not nonsense. In metaphysical terms, Stephen Strange is only of mortal blood, but his bones are astonishing and his destiny dictates. Wanda is a born magician, and magic is flowing in her veins. Stephen Strange's old enemy Dormammu is a younger brother to Wanda, who can already ignore Sithorn's side effects. She learned a few forbidden spells and was able to beat Dormammu into a mentally retarded person. Stephen Strange will lose a lot as the Supreme Mage, and even risk Blacken. Wanda is different. Now she is just here to enjoy happiness. It's all beneficial and no harm, right? Ancient One smiled, she just wanted to retire and was in a hurry. If Guan Fuyun and Wanda didn't have any objections, she would throw herself to death in a few days, having already thought of her landing position. You were right, but I have a question. Guan Fuyun lowered his body, said mysteriously, solemnly, you magicians, do you know that? That's the fireball technique. Fireball, the most basic and conventional spell. Classic burn no dead man. In this era where all ninjas are starting to struck the sky and shake the stars, it stands to reason that the requirements for mages should not be so low. But the problem is, including the Ancient One, the graduates of Kamar-Taj are all the same. They all like to draw circles and then use the magic sword and shield formed by the spell to chop people. Still chase and chop. Everyone has Gandalf's disease. Guan Fuyun doesn't want Wanda to return from studying and transform from a cute girl into a machete girl. Let your children learn something serious. Quote. Upon hearing this, Ancient One's face turned dark and he almost changed from a boiled egg to a braised egg. The corner of her mouth twitched. There will be magic. If you are really worried, I can just give her the Eye of Agamotto and the magic cloak. Full of sincerity. But Guan Fuyun shook his head and said, it's not a matter of whether I feel at ease or not. Wanda needs to make her own decision whether to become your disciple or not. It's as if Azu's career and life plan are Azu's own heartfelt choices. Guan Fuyun hopes Wanda will do the same. Said. Both looked at Wanda. Wanda pointed to her nose with her finger, looking so fussy and at a loss where she was, it was really cute. Official Fuyun simply explained. This is tutoring, 3 years of imitating the Supreme Master for 5 years, there is no need to leave home, just go to Greenwich Village in New York, the Godfather will always support you, if you are not happy, just after going home. Wanda nodded hesitantly and reluctantly agreed. Okay. Ancient One was extremely happy. The Eye of Agamotto and the magic cloak were handed over on the spot. He showed an excited smile that would soon kill him. Ancient One came and left with a smile on his face. It's all so weird. She has completely forgotten about Doctor Strange now, and only thinks about the pure version of the little witch. I have to say, the circles drawn by Kamar-Taj are convenient for traveling. It's almost time to catch up with the space gem. Guan Fuyun watched Master Gu Boiled Egg Yi leave, and then immediately moved a small bench and sat down with Wanda. The heads of the big one and the small one hit each other. Like two bandits, taking stock of the goods purchased for 0 yuan. One is a magic cloak. It seems ordinary, but it is actually a treasure with a weapon spirit that can help fly and assist in combat. It also has decent defense. The key is that these functions are entirely of passive type. This perfectly makes up for the lack of physical strength of the little witch and improves fault tolerance. Put this on her directly. As for the Eye of Agamotto, aka the Time Stone. Awesome is awesome. According to the performance in the movie, it can allow the user to reach any point in time, whether it is the long past or the distant future. You can use this power to watch or experience any era, commonly known as reading a script. For example, Ancient One studies how to be more handsome every day when he falls to death. At the same time, the time gem can control time and perform operations such as rewinding, stopping, and looping. But this depends on the user's qualifications and knowledge reserve. For example, Doctor Strange and Thanos have both met the requirements and can play time tricks. One negotiates terms with Dormammu, and the other takes Vision's yellow diamond. But if it were Cassius, the villain on the set of Doctor Strange, I couldn't understand it at all. Time is like a precise gear. Gemstones only have the ability to control gears. How to adjust them and how much they adjust requires calculation. Guan Fuyun felt troubled just thinking about it. After all, people can do anything in a hurry, but they can't do math. If they can't, they just can't. He is the laziest. The witty Wanda meets the requirements, but why does she, the Scarlet Witch, need the Time Stone? What really suits her is the combination of Reality Stone, Soul Stone, and Mind Stone. Therefore, the Time Stone is useless to both of them. Even in Guan Fuyun's original idea, he didn't care about the Time Stone. Now that I have it, I see that the most suitable one is actually Azu. First of all, he wants to open a VOT company in Marvel. He needs to get in touch with various heroes. The most important thing is to read scripts and collect intelligence. This is just the base function. Secondly, with his brain capacity and mentality, he cannot cause a time disaster at all. Even if he messes around, Guan Fuyun is not affected. The little witch possesses origin magic power, is an ancient one mage, and is also a transcendent existence. Even if Azu accidentally messed up, he wouldn't be able to harm his own people. Even if you think about it from the darkest perspective, Azu's current, 95%, gratitude level is the system's guarantee that he will not go crazy. And Daddy Zuonengu ensures Wanda's transcendence. Figured this out, Guan Fuyun, Wanda, and Godzilla were watching TV together at home, waiting for Azu. Whoosh. Soon, Azu came back. Ancestral treasure. Guan Fuyun asked Azu to come in and sit down. He briefly explained the situation and said frankly, "We plan to give you the Time Stone." Ah, hearing this, Azu was not so happy that he agreed, but frowned and asked, "But if this is the case, won't Ancient One be angry?" He had heard about Guan Fuyun's drama and knew how awesome Ancient One was. "It's for your use, not for you," Guan Fuyun said. "The Eye of Agamotto is still here in Wanda. When needed, can you just assemble it? Wanda is the next Sorcerer Supreme. She has the right to use the Eye of Agamotto. She circulates the Time Stone in our house and no one can fault it. Big deal, there's a problem with the dimension. Can't you just help kill a few Mephistos?" This is really the truth. The corner of Azu's mouth rose a little, but he then thought about the adamantium knife that his father gave him, and also thought that his father would take out the gems from Wanda's Eye of Agamotto and give it to him. He suddenly felt uncomfortable and panicked. Azu said weakly, "Dad, am I very weak in holding you back? Am I embarrassing you?" Guan Fuyun turned his head and looked at the embarrassed elder, wondering why he said this. Azu lowered his head like a defeated rooster. "I don't know magic, my brain is poor, my knowledge reserve is 0, and I am sometimes stupid. If I were like Wanda, Dad wouldn't have to worry so much. Azu, you have to know that in the eyes of others, you are almost a god. You are the god of Hydra, dominating the world's largest underground power." Guan Fuyun said, "You can also absorb sunlight to become stronger. Although it is slow, the upper limit is infinite. Your physical strength is the strongest in the family. You are also the first in your family to open a company. You have your advantages and strengths. At the same time, exposing your shortcomings in front of your family is not weakness. After we discussed it, we decided to give you the Time Stone. It's not about mercy, it's about helping each other. Even if you can only use it as a spoiler, it won't even be a spoiler. But that's what it's for. If you can use it to find clues to more gems, such as the Reality Gem, the Soul Gem, the Mind Gem, wouldn't it come back to help Wanda? When the time comes, it might be a good idea to change the core of Eye of Agamotto. You have to open your mind, Azu. No one is allowed to have internal conflicts in the family. I'm your father, and it's natural for me to worry about you. Do you understand?" Hearing this, Azu didn't speak, he just raised his head and looked at Guan Fuyun blankly. Guan Fuyun said again, "Do you understand?" Azu smiled coyly, drank milk, and whispered, "I understand." "Speak louder, haven't you eaten?" "Understood, understood, Dad." "Okay, very energetic. Should this time gem be placed directly in the bracelet, or should it be made into other accessories?" "Dad, make it a necklace for me too. Be handsome." "Okay, go away and play. Take Godzilla with you and don't let him scratch me." "Yes, bite, child no." 1 Azu, the level of gratitude has increased. 95%. 99%. Spend some points. A necklace inlaid with time stones was made that stuck tightly to Azu's neck and could not be pulled off. It's really handsome. Paired with Superman's black framed glasses, Azu puts on a suit again, and oh, he's a gentle scum who is all black and evil. The temperament is also there. This gift from his family made Azu so excited that he couldn't sleep all night. When he got up the next day, he shouted, "Dad, Wanda, you must come to see the opening of my company. Remember to bring Godzilla with you." After saying that, he hurriedly flew away. Yes, Azu's career and life goals are at Marvel's Walt Company, the Dad is Right company, which is opening today. It is full of Hydras who have changed jobs and are re-employed. Chapter 31. New. Guan Fuyun waved his hand and said good morning to Azu. The company opens at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's still early, but this incident has made the whole farm excited. Guan Fuyun killed a chicken for breakfast and made chicken soup noodles to celebrate. Who can understand the mentality of an old father who is optimistic about his eldest son's future? The anticipation of Azu's big life made him unable to sit still. Simply follow Wanda to Kamar-Taj to calm down. As for the farm, Godzilla knows what's going on, and this little monster is also exceptionally humane and knows how to push the envelope. And although it is still a cub, its combat power is enough to deal with ordinary superheroes and villains. It can bite one by one and digest it. Dee. The two took a taxi to Greenwich Village in New York, which is the Kamar-Taj New York office. The whole journey, the little witch is like a cub who doesn't want to go to kindergarten. She either hugs Guan Fuyun or clings to Guan Fuyun. Even kissing, hugging and lifting high. Considering that Mi Lysian's atmosphere was relatively open, Guan Fuyun was stunned for a moment and then let her go. In his adopted role, Wanda is the one who has changed the most, or has the biggest difference from her original impression. For example, Azu is still a giant baby, both physically and mentally. Godzilla is still a foodie. But Wanda is different. In the original book, when Wanda appears in the movie, she has been imprisoned and trained to adulthood. She starts off as a killer with no affection, and then kills a relative in every movie. But now she is a hopeful and energetic girl. There is no need to bear hatred or lose loved ones. There is no need to suffer because of your specialness. Don't worry about losing control. Therefore, there is a new life. Greenwich Village. Pass through the ancient clock tower-style building. Guan Fuyun and Wanda came directly to Kamar-Taj and saw a series of palaces, ancient palaces floating in the air, linking mirror spaces. Kind of pretty. These buildings, after being assimilated by generations of magicians, also possess some special functions. Similar to magic weapons and sect-protecting formations. But it seems to be of no use. In Wanda's search for a family, the Scarlet Witch used Bewitchment plus Magic Cannon, and a silky small combo that took no more than 3 seconds to directly break the formation. Surprisingly fragile. After seeing the group of hum ha 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 in the Kamar-Taj square, sweating profusely practicing chopping, Guan Fuyun knew, hey, there is a reason for all this. As a mage, I always want to add life, endurance, skill points to one-handed sword, two-handed sword, block, critical hit, charge, whirlwind dance, decapitation, and then a mirror space, and then draw circles and disappear. Is it possible to avoid being deceived and confused? Don't look at this. Guan Fuyun shook his head and said seriously, if you can't learn the fireball technique, just go home. Kamar-Taj takes juju pills. Oh, Wanda looked thoughtful. Welcome. At this time, Master Modu came out and said that Ancient One was out, leaving Guan Fuyun and Wanda to wander around by themselves. Guan Fuyun understood that the boiled egg was probably wandering the universe again. The two of them watched for a while. Hello, are you a new apprentice? If you don't understand anything, you can ask me. My name is Cassius, a guy with thick eyebrows and big eyes said enthusiastically. Hearing this, Guan Fuyun seemed not to have heard anything and led Wanda over, then reacted suddenly. Isn't this who it is? On the set of Doctor Strange, there are 2 or 5 boys who stole Kamar-Taj's magic book, betrayed the Ancient One, and took refuge in Dormammu. No, bro, you don't have those poisonous dark circles under your eyes, and your non-mainstream style, aren't you completely like Uncle Ba? You look like a good person. Guan Fuyun turned around and looked at Cassius with interest. Hello, Cassius wondered. Ah, It's okay, I'll just take a look. You seem to be a good person. Guan Fuyun said. He finally figured it out. If Ancient One is Master Turtle, Cassius is DeLong, and Doctor Strange is Poe. The sense of déjà vu is quite strong. The Ancient One mage is not here. If you are interested in magic, you might as well learn some basic spells from me first. Cassius said with enthusiasm and a hint of show-off. That's great. Guan Fuyun also wanted to see if he was a magician. He asked for advice. Then Cassius started shaking and gushed. For a magician, the world is all matter composed of rules, and spells are the source code for modifying the rules. Certainly, to achieve the operation of modification, magic power is required as a medium. Magic power comes from the spiritual dimension. To be more precise, it comes from gods such as Emperor Weixin. So before activating that modify source code spell, we have to add a series of if spells used to communicate with the gods and borrow power. He showed it as he spoke, mumbling words, and the light of magic burst out from his fingertips. Like a flower-waving hand, the splendid lines cross and combine to finally outline a bright circular magic circle, with mysterious patterns engraved in the middle. Guan Fuyun tried to imitate, but the result was naturally a failure. The reason is simple. God will only listen to mortals' appeals and then lend them magic power. But Guan Fuyun, true immortality, he is more divine than God. Who cares about him? Cassius. At this time, Master Modu came again, as if he wanted to call for punishment, and said angrily, "Oh, what are you doing?" "I'm just teaching these two apprentices," Cassius said bravely. "But you taught magic without the consent of the Ancient One mage. This is against the rules." Master Modu said angrily. "It's just the simplest basic technique. Even a genius like me took a long time to learn it. Not to mention these two newcomers. They may not be able to learn at all. Why are you anxious?" Cassius was unimpressed. "I am the instructor." Master Modu increased his voice. "Pedantic, rigid, you will regret it." Cassius was not to be outdone. Just stir it up. The feeling of, "I'm angry but you're sorry," came up again. As for Guan Fuyun and Wanda, these two parties were completely left aside and ignored. And then the next moment, buzz, Wanda clapped her little hand, and a huge amount of scarlet magic circle suddenly appeared. Judging from the style, it is the simplest basic technique. It's the kind of move that can be used as a magic shield. But Wanda's is so big, a single spell directly covers the entire Kamar-Taj ground, and it's still expanding. This is a given. After all, others borrow magic power, and Wanda's whole body is full of magic power. She can also ask Sithorn to work for her and provide magic power. Guan Fuyun had expected it, but when he actually saw this scene, he couldn't help but exclaimed, "It's so spectacular. Wanda. This is what a mage should be like." Quote exclamation mark quote. Wanda looked surprised. It wasn't until this moment, when she stared at the magic circle she was rubbing with her hands, that she truly felt the difference between psychic power and magic power. Almost equivalent to fire sticks and modern firearms. More precise, more focused, more powerful. Also more beautiful. At this moment, Wanda is wearing JK school uniform, standing in the magic circle, her reddish-brown hair is flowing, she is a true magical girl. Great. Guan Fuyun pinched the little witch's face. Look back. Master Mordo and Cassius had already closed their mouths, and they all had stunned and dumbfounded expressions on their faces. In a daze, Guan Fuyun seemed to hear a click sound, which was the sound of the three worlds shattering. He recalled the hardships he endured while studying magic. Look at Wanda again. Both of them have a sense of being, trained like a dog, and feel like they are useless. Master Modu, who looked serious on the surface, was filled with envy, jealousy and hatred. Not to mention Cassius. His eyes were almost red. He regrets it now, regrets it very much, and feels the pain of shooting himself in the foot. The performance of the two made Guan Fuyun almost die. Boiled eggs are really good at raising poison. Kamar-Taj is also called Little Arkham Asylum. But he didn't take action. After all, the Ancient One hasn't fallen to his death yet, and Mordo and Cassius haven't gone crazy either. Secondly, although his Dai Zuonengu eliminated Wanda's impurities and negative buffs, but it also cost her the Book of Darkness. Sithorn, being so petty, must have run away with the Book of Darkness in his arms, drawing circles and curses behind his back. And now it's still too early for S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, let alone Wanda's family search TV, so he can't even cut off who. If these two people fight for some energy, they might be able to find the Book of Darkness and send it to Wanda. This is what Guan Fuyun planned. But the premise is that no one else will do anything to him. As a young old godfather, he still underestimated how tempting Wanda's talent and magic power would be to a magician with evil intentions. It's as if a Kennedy Abe King Wong family bucket is placed in front of the gunman. Who can resist freezing their hands? On the spot, Cassius opened the mirror space. He was giggling, as if he had lost a hypnotic ability spell, and then asked Wanda, "Where does your magic power come from?" Wanda, she didn't want to speak and looked at Cassius as if she were a fool. "Don't you know? Indeed, the origin of this level of magic must be extremely far away, and it is not something you can know. So, what about you?" Cassius said pretentious words and looked at Guan Fuyun. Guan Fuyun, "No, bro, do you have cerebral palsy? Why do you think you can control Scarlet Witch and her godfather?" Guan Fuyun moved his lips, wanting to curse, but finally decided against it. "Say what, then?" Cassius pricked up his ears. Quote. Guan Fuyun sighed silently, then he stretched out his hand, grabbed Cassius's ear, and yanked hard. Cassius stiffened. He found that Guan Fuyun could move. He was surprised at first, and then wanted to deal with it. But the strange thing is, Guan Fuyun's movements were obviously unpleasant, but he couldn't resist. Under the effect of true immortality, any character will be hit by dimensionality reduction. Cassius rubbed the magic circle with his hands, turning it into magic swords and shields, and then saw these weapons being crushed like bubbles. He controlled the mirror space again, trying to distance himself. But it still doesn't work. Now, Guan Fuyun is like a god, with absolute suppression over low-dimensional life. All methods are ineffective. He turned Cassius into an ordinary person, but even ordinary people's methods could not hurt him. At the same time, Guan Fuyun's casualties are all real injuries, which are difficult to heal. He just grabbed Cassius by the ear and pushed him to the ground. Then, boom, 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 he was hit repeatedly, causing his head to bleed, his neck to be broken, and his flesh and blood to be mutilated. Well, the painting style of black robe is brought in again. Burn it. After leaving the body to Wanda for disposal, Guan Fuyun looked at Nobu, who had been standing aside from the beginning to the end, as if he didn't react. This shouldn't be done. Cassius is too rude, but you can't." Nobu was a little incoherent. He really wanted to rub Cassius's way to see if he could get some benefits, such as digging out the girl's secrets and getting favored by the gods. But he really didn't expect Guan Fuyun's reaction to be so big. This is also a common problem with Marvel, or Millikan. Whether they are superheroes or villains, they always like to inexplicably hit others first, and then run away, calling on others to calm down and restrain themselves, saying, "Don't hit me, I'm joking." Highlight a divine gold. Whoosh. As soon as the bracelet lights up, the space gem is activated. Guan Fuyun first flashed to Nobu's side, and then started with an adamantium kitchen knife. Pierced the heart with the knife, and then cut it into 8 pieces. Wait until Nobu is burned to ashes. The mirror space just started to disappear. In the blink of an eye, the two of them returned to Kamar-Taj, surrounded by the group of shocked magicians. "Godfather, is this okay?" Wanda pursed her lips, blinked her eyes, and while looking at the handsome Guan Fuyun, she stabilized the bow on her chest. There are also troubles for overgrown Lei. It doesn't matter, they were just 2 GU insects in the first place, small roles. Guan Fuyun smiled and said, "Without them, we can still find the Book of Darkness." He walked to Ancient One's living room and poured himself tea directly. "Oh." Wanda nodded obediently, her pleated skirt swaying as she walked, revealing her fair skin. After a while, the boiled eggs came back. The Ancient One doesn't care about Mordo and Cassius, attempts to commit suicide. This is their fate. She had a calm, knowing smile on her face. When he came back, he taught Wanda magic directly, such as creating a soul with a slap, tying a fairy rope, turning into a butterfly, controlling water, etc. Then there are the fireball techniques that Guan Fuyun is obsessed with, as well as some summoning techniques. Maybe it's because chaos magic is originally special. Wanda's summoning spell is always very curious, it can summon tentacle monsters, vicious slimes and so on. The most noteworthy thing is that the process of Ancient One teaching Wanda was exposed in its entirety and made public to everyone in Kamar-Taj. When they saw the fireball with a radius of more than 10 meters, the tentacle monster like a hill, and even the magic circle that blocked the sky and the sun again and again. First shocked, then shattered, then numb, and finally accepted. It seems that the foreshadowing is almost done. The Ancient One mage is also a good actor. She called everyone together and held a meeting. During the meeting, she briefly said a few sentences, such as, Kamar-Taj has done a great job, and the multidimensional dimensions are peaceful and prosperous. Another example is, everyone is doing a great job. Thank you for your hard work. We must continue to work hard, update and iterate our gameplay, and grasp the direction of Dimension Mephisto. Recalling the past, savoring the present, and emphasizing corporate culture. Then he sprained his ankle when he came off the stage. The invincible Ancient One mage just fell down. Before dying, she said with difficulty and determination. Quote, I fought with Dormammu, and was injured by dark magic. From now on, Wanda will take over as the supreme mage. Kamar-Taj is pure and plain, wearing linen and wearing mourning. Even Wanda is dressed in white, which makes her look even more pretty. Crying. Guan Fuyun ate in silence, but he ate very hard, with veins popping out on his forehead, and his face was ferocious. Only in this way can you grit your teeth and hold back, preventing yourself from laughing like a pig. Riding on a horse. This hard-boiled egg is too messy, and it will kill your feet. Is this a plan that anyone can come up with? Poets hold on. Oh, don't be too sad. On the side, there were people wiping away tears to comfort Guan Fuyun. Guan Fuyun. Ha 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 ha, he endures it. After a lot of blowing and blowing, the Ancient One was buried, and the boiled egg was laid to rest. Wanda also officially became the Supreme Mage. She symbolically said a few words, you were eating hot pot and singing, and suddenly you were harmed by Dormammu. When the Supreme Master is here, there will be blue sky. Then open the dimension pocket in public. Dark dimension. Dormammu was sitting in a daze, dreaming about defeating the Ancient One, successfully invading the material world, becoming the king of dark kings, and reaching the pinnacle of Mephisto. While laughing, Gia. Suddenly the dimension pocket burst open. A pretty witch wearing hemp and filial piety walked out of it. She started with a huge amount of fireball. Boom! Fireballs flew across the sky, falling like meteorites. The current little witch lacks the colorful divine clothing such as the Book of Darkness, Book of Wyshan Emperor, and cannot reach the level of the female ghost Wanda. But it's even more awesome than Avengers Wanda who tore apart Thanos. It belongs to the late ultimate peak Zochin in Yadian Father. Taking into account the special nature of origin magic power, it can be said to be in a world of its own and transcendent. It's not impossible to beat Dormammu. So this shot really hurt. It's not you. Dormammu screamed out with a cry from the heat. Just as it was about to fight back, Guan Fuyun teleported to its back. He just pressed it so hard that it couldn't breathe. Quote ? This time Dormammu was really shocked. Although it usually likes to brag, saying that it is one of the greatest mysterious entities in all dimensions of the multi-universe. But in real terms, it is on the same level as Odin and Zeus. Heavenly Father level. Even if they say they are strong, they are indeed strong. All of them can dominate a universe and are so arrogant. But just because they are strong enough, they know how deep the water in the Marvel universe is. Those who are truly transcendent are always watching the entire universe. They can easily defeat the Heavenly Father. Just like Odin back then, he was so high-spirited and dared to challenge the gods. Then, it was like a little monster that went to the Kingdom of Light and was beaten to pieces by a group of cosmic giants, and returned to Asgard crying. In addition, there are 5 major gods, the Court of Life, the transcendent gods. Too many. It's also terrible. No matter who the person behind him is or what his purpose is, Dormammu feels that it still cooperates well. What if you really die? As a result, Dormammu simply stood still and stretched out his face to be beaten. The little witch was bombarded with spells, screaming and roaring, but she didn't fight back, as if she was beaten into submission. This scene is really inspiring and refreshing. The people at Kamar-Taj burst into cheers, and from then on, they recognized Wanda's position as the supreme mage in their hearts, preserving the status of this lineage. It can be regarded as an explanation for boiled eggs. The rest can be left to the executive deputy supreme mage Lao Wang. Kamar-Taj has his own way of survival. Wanda only needs to come back from time to pick up a few magic books. It's time to go to school. JK girl, Wanda's skin can still be used. Finished with this. The time was almost up. Guan Fuyun and Wanda returned to the farm and wanted to take Godzilla to Azu's company to attend the opening ceremony. Different from the usual black windbreaker, Guan Fuyun specially changed into a white suit, with accessories on his chest, his hands in his trousers pockets, and his usual bangs were combed into a slicked back hairstyle. The suit, combined with his height of 1.9 meters, tall posture, and handsome face, made him really high-spirited now. Wanda changed into a dress. She stared blankly at Guan Fuyun, her face reddening for some reason. Quote? Guan Fuyun pinched Wanda's face and touched her head, feeling a little confused. It stands to reason that if Wanda's life goal and career plan is to become a mage, so now she is the supreme mage, the conditions should be met. But he did not receive the system prompt. Hiss. This unlucky kid won't take the supreme mage as a part-time job, will he? At the same time, New York City, the prime area, the crazy area, opposite the Stark Tower, between the Daily Bugle and Osborne Industries. An entire building was purchased and made into a 7 shape. The company's plaque of "Daddy was right" has been unveiled. It is made of pure gold and has an embossed family portrait below the name. Oh, you are so generous. At first glance, he looks like a top-tier rich man. I heard that this company does not engage in military or military industry, nor does it engage in medical care. It will leave the most profitable industries aside. It will specialize in making movies. Ah, what movie are you shooting? A superhero movie. Isn't this just a joke? We, the crazy natives in New York, just want to see superheroes take to the streets, so why bother spending money to go to the cinema? The truth is so true, but the gimmick of Dad's company is that it will cooperate with superheroes. The movie box office and peripheral profits will be shared with the superheroes. Really or not, it's true. Dad's company teamed up with the International Douyin to launch the Superhero Hot List, Superhero High Burning Mixed Cut, Superhero Moments, etc. It's very practical and widely praised. No, what's the practical use of this? Of course it is practical. With the Chaoying Hot List, you can monitor the frequency and range of Chaoying's activities in real time, choose the best to travel, and avoid becoming cannon fodder. You can also leave negative reviews, complain about Chaoying, and express dissatisfaction. Chaoying's traffic, advertising, and popularity will determine their income. The 7 most popular people will be selected as a group of 7. They can share a prize pool of at least $7 billion every year. Some superheroes are dissatisfied with their popularity and low visibility, so they have stepped up patrols and the public security is much better. The movie tickets haven't been paid yet, so it's much better than paying taxes. There are also some bad-tempered superheroes who entered Dad's company because of the heat problem and then never came out. Doesn't this just show the strength of the company? Passers-by talked a lot and marveled, who the devil came up with this idea. How wonderful. At this moment, they have seen several superheroes come to the company to apply for roles because they don't have enough to eat and are poor. I heard that those with talent are given priority. The superheroes all wear masks anyway, and they all perform performance art, and they are not shy. One of them shouted at the top of his lungs, "I have a cute eyes." Ha, if you have super hearing, you don't need supervision. I am a mutant. My ability is super self-confidence. The side effect is that I will grow thorns like a hedgehog. Just when everyone was making a noise, Peter Parker, wearing a black suit with a confident face and a crooked smile on his face, is here. He pushed away the crowd, slammed his hands on the table, and said loudly, "I want to play Spider-Man." The sound is like a loud bell. After saying that, he started dancing, moving and hitting. Peter Parker can dance. Very good at dancing. His sultry dancing, flying expressions, and cheeky smile made him stand out, and he was immediately chosen by the Hydra agent and company manager at the audition. You, go in and fill in the information. The manager said. What information should you fill in? Peter Parker smiled arrogantly. As an actor, fill in your name, gender, address, bank card, and what are the advantages and experiences of playing Spider-Man. The manager said meaningfully, and, if you can contact Spider-Man. Just fill in your enemies and grudges. The company will shoot movies and produce peripherals based on each superhero's personal experience. Okay, it's great to play like this. Peter Parker smiled. No one knows Spider-Man better than him. He didn't even walk away, he jumped into the company in a coquettish way. Along the way, he wanted to throw a little dust into the eyes of everyone he met. Sure enough, the doctor was right. The Venom symbiote can amplify the desires and evil in people's hearts. Now he feels that he is completely bad. He doesn't want to save the world at all, he just wants to get a promotion and a raise, and make money. Top of the company. In the conference hall of the Imitation Walt 7. Azu, who wears elegant black-rimmed glasses, is flipping through information like reporter Clark. Even more successful than expected. As soon as they heard that being a superhero was still popular and lucrative, everyone eagerly signed up and signed a contract with the company. The biggest reward should be Peter Parker playing Spider-Man. Others don't know. How can Azu, who has dad spoilers and the Time Stone, still not know? Peter Parker is Spider-Man. If Marvel's heroes are divided into 3 sections, the universe, the Blue Star, and the street. Spider-Man is the director of the street office. He has a good reputation and is very popular in the slums of New York City and in the eyes of passers-by. And it is different from the internet trolls who were torn in half by the hands of the motherland in the black-robed world in their dreams. Spider-Man is much cuter, especially Peter Parker, who is currently wearing the Venom symbiote, only thinks about promotion and salary increase. It's simply a super awesome ability. Give him $1 million USD as a signing tip. Azu ordered to go down. He usually spends all his food and clothing on the farm, and his father takes care of it. Things like banknotes are purely for fun, lots and lots of flowers. Yes, Secretary and Countertop CEO Natasha Romanoff nodded and went down to do some work. She was also undercover again. But what's the use? Like Snake Shield, the company is full of Hydra agents. What can she find? She even felt like she was home. Azu completely ignored Natasha Romanoff's coquettishness. First, don't act on impulse. Second, he is only 8 years old and is not in a hurry. Third, you must listen to your father's words and stay away from superheroes. You must not join forces with them, otherwise you will become unfortunate. To put it bluntly, if Azu really wanted to enlighten and bring in the painting style of Black Robe, wouldn't Natasha Romanoff be like Kublai Khan? She shipped it. ... Azu closed his eyes. After getting the Time Stone, what he likes most is to look at his own time and his dreams over and over again. Looking at the world of black robes, on that timeline, how miserable and pitiful the original self is now. Wow, I really laughed every time I watched it. It was great to meet my dad. Azu felt happy. It's really fun to use the Time Stone to laugh at your other self, and watch the other person break his defenses, become helpless and furious. Certainly, it's not like Azu didn't do his job. For every superhero who comes to sign a contract, he will use the Time Stone to take a look and briefly analyze the opponent's ability and whether it is easy to kill. Then study the other person's character, fill in the blanks, and assign actors to different groups as appropriate. Then there is the opening ceremony that he is most concerned about today. Large companies such as Stark Industries, Osborne Industries, and the Daily Bugle, as well as gangsters like Kingpin, and even working groups of the presidential campaign team, and delegations from the Xavier Academy for Geniuses. And that's not even counting the ones that were originally on Hydra, S.H.I.E.L.D. It's true that all kinds of monsters are here. Shonda is Shonda. Full of scenes. But these are not important. What is important is the feelings of the family. Azu silently used the Time Stone to investigate the guests, constantly reading the script and eliminating those who did not fit his father's taste. When looking at the life script of Iron Man, Tony Big Shit, Azu was suddenly stunned, because in Iron Man's timeline, in those time fragments, he saw Wanda. Although she is just a small one in the picture. But that Scarlet life form is unique. Azu saw the younger Wanda, huddled next to a cannonball with the name, Stark Industries, printed on it, feeling sad and crying silently. This scene made Azu inexplicably angry. Whoa, he stood up, and the man became angry and instinctively wanted to tear Tony apart. But after thinking about it for a while, he stopped. He is thinking. On the timeline of the Black Robe world, the leader of the 7-person group who has everything, a native of the motherland, is as fragile as a giant baby. What can really make him break through his defenses and collapse as the psychological blow? Similarly, Iron Man with Stark Industries is powerful. But Tony has been anxious and suffering inside. Perhaps, I can play some high-end operations. One second he looked fierce, and the next moment he had a harmless and cheerful smile on his face. Azu showed off a wave of face-changing stunts. Then Teacher Tony was called from the VIP table. Hello, Mr. Azu. Tony was also dressed up, holding a gift box in his hand. He said hello, his eyes full of inquiry. He was really curious about how Azu grew up. I am even more curious about where Azu got his financial resources and power. The most curious thing is Guan Fuyun. He will also be there today, right? The man who made physics cease to exist. It haunts Tony. Hello, Teacher Tony, you can get out. Azu smiled brightly and said, you are not welcome in my company. Tony. He looked like shit. Before Tony could ask, Azu continued, Stark Industries. How awesome are you? The bomb fell next to an innocent little girl. She feared this for years. And she's my family now, that's why I kicked you out, I hate you. Tony, you have to understand something. Don't flaunt yourself as a hero while selling arms and war. That will only become a joke to the whole world, like today's America. Take off that iron shell, you are not only a doctor and a genius, you are also an arms tycoon. A pathetic, conceited, weak fool. Azu used trash talk to attack. Outstanding effect. It can be said that Iron Man, who is now successful and famous, was finally hit by the arms he dumped when he was young. He was devastated, and his heart was aching. I even thought of throwing away the iron shell. The one who can best defeat Iron Man is still Tony. He now feels that the life of a superhero is so ironic and unreal. There is no Iron Man anywhere, there is just an arms tycoon who is obsessed with money and wealth and paralyzes himself with the fantasy of indulgence. Tony walked out of Dad's company in despair. Professor X came next. With the help of Hulk, he came to the office in a wheelchair. With a smile on his face, he said hello, see you again, Mr. Fellow Countryman. I'm very happy that you can come to congratulate and give gifts. I'm not happy that you call me a fellow countryman. Azu frowned and said seriously, call me Mr. Zhu when you go to work. Okay, Mr. Zhu. Charles followed his advice and said, don't you want to kill me now? Because you are too weak, Charles. Azu made no secret of his disgust and said in disgust, I can see the wrinkles on your body, your brain is becoming demented, like disgusting stinky tofu. You don't need me to kill you, you will die on your own and destroy everything. Quote. Charles's smile disappeared. Azu continued to use the C language to output, and for a ghost like you, killing the physical body is useless, right? After killing you now, you can still possess others. You are such an immortal and harmful person. Why don't you drown yourself in the toilet? If it doesn't work out, I'll contact the hospital and lend you an umbilical cord so you can hang yourself, just like you use the umbilical cord to strangle your bald girl. The placenta war, is this horse riding experience a human experience? Charles, you have been abstracting your whole life. The funniest thing is, do you know how many brothers, sisters, sons, and daughters you have living outside the country? Silly boy. Charles frowned. On the one hand, he was a bit off guard again, Azu had a venomous tongue. On the other hand, he really doesn't know how many relatives he still has. Admit it, Charles, you're a Luther. Azu leaned forward, I'm different from you, I never make mistakes. I'm stronger, smarter, I'm good, I'm better. I have Father's teachings. The Xavier Academy for Geniuses that you have been building all your life is just a fool shell, an ostrich village. You've never really been exposed to power, you don't even know about the Sentry program. And I have everything. The greatest power in America, the right to speak out in the media that can best confuse right and wrong, is now in my hands. If you want to see me, please ask me. The words fell. 2 seconds later. Please, Mr. Zhu. Charles pleaded. I want to know your power, your ability. This old Biden is really shameless. And Azu is at the age where he likes to show off and show off. Easy to say. Azu clapped his hands, and a bunch of well-trained agents rushed up and obeyed the order. When an agent does the work of a social worker, he is indeed capable. And now Hydra exists in name only, and its purpose has changed from conquering the world to a service company. Firstly, everyone can receive their salary openly, and secondly, Azu's oppression of ordinary people is so strong that they can't do it even if they don't work hard. 10 minutes later, Mr. Zhu, all negative news and reports about Hulk in Millennium's online media have been removed from the shelves and their circulation has been restricted. 20 minutes later, Mr. Zhu, we have found the families of the victims of the hateful incident. By providing compensation, signing contracts, etc., we have allowed them to speak out on social media, criticize Rose and Milligan, and praise Hulk. 30 minutes later, Mr. Zhu, we have located all the victims and their families who were harmed by the Hulk. We are keeping an eye on them, promising huge sums of money, and farming them remotely. 40 minutes later, Mr. Zhu, Hulk's reputation has improved. Someone has established the Hulk Protection Association, and the environmental organization wants to use its image as a mascot. There are also gender diversity organizations and pharmaceutical groups, all think Hulk is very good. White noise bomb is a public relations term. Just like noise, when the media machine is turned on, only one voice is spread, over and over again, and it is a magical brainwashing. The result is not a platform where 80% of people like Hulk and 20% don't. Instead, on 80% of the platforms, all users can only see good news and news about Hulk, famous superhero scenes, and passionate moments. The other 20% of platforms, unimportant. Once the information cocoon is formed, it will naturally spread, turning 20% into 2%, until it is completely eliminated. Just like 3 people become a tiger. Over time, Hulk has become a superhero that everyone knows. Of course it was. But from this moment on, hating the Hulk becomes a mistake. Watch well and study hard. Waste. Azu threw the tablet to Charles. Charles's eyes widened. I saw. In the American media and video platforms, Hulk has become a victim, a rebellious tragic revenge hero. I am Dr. Banner, I have multiple degrees. I used to be incredibly intelligent, had a decent job, and had a girlfriend. Later, I was plotted by a villain, and my body mutated, ugly, and crazy. In order to capture me and cover up the warlord's scandal, they created another monster, an out-of-control hatred. It shows up and it kills. At the critical moment, I reconciled with the monster in my heart. I coughed, Hulk, smash. We are superheroes. This time, we will take back everything that belongs to us. The origin and story of Hulk, and the ugliness of General Ross, turned into short videos, spreading like viruses. This, who is not confused after seeing this? Charles was held captive for several minutes. Then I remembered to look at the comment section, as follows. Suddenly it dawned on me that Hulk is the most pitiable. Oh, Mom, hug, you are not allowed to bully Hulk. Netizens, please believe in the American warlords. They must be more hateful and sinful than those shown in the video. Why are there people in the comment section so anxious? Are they War Eagle and Little Pink Blue? Hulk protected New York. Our whole family is a fan of Hulk. I won't tell you who is incompetent and furious. Isn't this all caused by the American warlords? Is it okay that he is still invisible now? Who knows Jime? Hulk is so handsome. Jibao guys also think it's so cool. Protect the best Hulk in the world. The wise doctor plus the rude savage, yum yum yum, have a good time. Hulk has worked very hard. Charles. He was amazed. This was a power that he, as a mutant, could not touch in his entire life. Ha 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 ha. Behind Charles, Hulk was also watching, grinning when he saw the fans cheering. Charles. The old boiled egg looked dull and shocked. This was the first time he saw Hulk smile from the bottom of his heart. This monster has faced guns and curses since its birth, and even Dr. Banner hates it. So, Hulk's violence is actually excusable. It is just imitating the environment, communicating with the barbaric world in a barbaric way, trying to find its own position in it. But it's different now. This savage world also showed gentleness and kindness to Hulk. Let it learn to laugh. This is what Charles and Xavier Academy for Geniuses can never give. He can use his psychic ability to provide lifelong guidance and suppress its violence, but he cannot give Hulk a social position. Can't give it a job, many fans, and value. And Azu did it easily. At this moment, while Charles was deeply hit, he was actually a little relieved. He couldn't wait to say, "Mr. Zhu, has your company considered recruiting students from school?" Recruiting from school. Azu sneered and said with a sullen face, "New York has no shortage of superheroes. If you don't do it, there will be plenty of people who can." Turn around. Azu looked embarrassed again and backed down. "But if you beg me, I might agree." "Please, Mr. Zhu." Charles didn't want any baggage at all and just said, "You are simply a god. You are light, electricity, and the only hope. You are the most wise, powerful, and far-sighted boss I have ever seen." Okay. Azu was blown away by a rainbow fart, happily drank milk and basked in the sun and said, "I will give you a few school recruitment quotas every year, and the resources will be favorable. The condition is, Charles, you have to use your ability to help improve the movie watching experience. For example, make a mental projection or something. Understand? That's it." Naturally, Charles madly agreed. "Yes, Mr. Zhu. Do you want to sign a contract?" "Sign the contract and go to the clerk." "Okay, what about Hulk? Are you blind? Hulk is now the #1 superhero on the popularity list, and he is already a contracted superhero of our company. Come on, get Hulk some big pants." Azu started directing again, and it felt so good. The staff led Hulk to customize his pants. Charles pushed the wheelchair out by himself and suddenly turned around and asked, "Mr. Zhu, can I meet your father? I have a hunch that he will be a great person." Azu said contemptuously, "Do you need your premonition? Of course my father is awesome." "Charles," Azu continued, "it is up to my father to decide whether to see you or not. If he is in a good mood, he can drink tea and chat with you. If he is not in the mood, just look up in the crowd and you will be considered lucky." Quote. Charles. He pushed the wheelchair faster. Although this patriarch has a unique style, he also has many shortcomings, such as being too aggressive. And when the word, "Dad," is mentioned, he becomes extremely proud and indulgent. Although you can't peek into the memory. But Charles's intuition told him that he must not curse his son and his father in front of Azu, otherwise as soon as he lost his glasses, he would immediately transform into a fellow countryman and start killing people. But this way, Charles became even more curious about the mysterious father who could educate and suppress Azu. It's not like he didn't use mental retrieval on the man. But the result is, no such person found. Of course this cannot be true. It can only be said that the other party's attainments in the spiritual field may be even higher than his. And far more than that. This is so scary. Quote. When Charles thought about it, he was even sweating profusely. Over the years, the only person whose mental strength was higher than his was that of Jean Grey, who had huge amounts of energy hidden in her body. He has studied and observed for many years, and also secretly peeped some information with S.H.I.E.L.D., Tianjin Bureau and other parties. It is vaguely inferred that Jean Grey's potential is not the super ability of mutants. Instead, it symbolizes life and emotion, the legendary incarnation of life and spiritual power in the original universe, the Phoenix Force. This kind of power is too appalling. Even though Jean Grey is already a mature X-Men, compared to this power, she is still a child. Children wielding nuclear weapons can destroy the world at any time. This feeling is more dangerous than the runaway fellow countryman. But what if the father of a fellow countryman also has similar abilities? So, can Jean Grey achieve self-control? Or take out her Phoenix Force? This will make it safer. Charles was thinking in confusion. He admitted that he was a stupid and naive utopian, but he did not agree with Magneto's principle of mutant supremacy. But now, the appearance of Azu and the company has allowed him to see a new path. He was really excited about it. Lanterns and colorful decorations were put on, and the atmosphere was full of joy. When Dad's company opened, the media all over New York reported and congratulated it, with the caliber as neat as an AK-47. In the sky, there were even helicopters circling, throwing coins and banknotes constantly. Superheroes gather and the roads are blocked. But who cares? Everyone was cheering and excited, shouting, "Mr. Zhu," and "Sprinkle some coins for me too." Thousands of people roared together. The scene is spectacular. In normal times, Azu's arrogant character would have been unable to resist showing off. But now, he was as steady as an old dog, sitting on the main seat and letting his secretary Natasha Romanoff say, "It's almost time," and, "The distinguished guests should be anxious," but did not get up. "Shut up, everyone, I'm waiting for my dad." Azu spoke into the microphone and said, "If you make any more noise, I'll kill you." As soon as these words came out, everyone exchanged glances, wondering what this dragon crossing the river meant. Is it a show of force? Someone in the crowd thought so. He has a strong build and can occupy the space of 4 or 5 people in one car. A talented frame, a body of muscles, and a specially customized white suit, this is him. The Underground Emperor of New York. His famous quote is, "The underworld can now be conducted like a sale." The leader and board of directors will be Kingpin. However, such a character has a big physique and status. Now I can only stand on one side of the red carpet. The reason is also very simple. He is afraid. His lifelong dream is to become the Underground Emperor of New York. He has been planning for this for many years and has also cooperated with the Hand to transfer some benefits. As a result, almost overnight, or even shorter, the super powerful Hand Club in his eyes was immediately brought to the fore. Kingpin verified and inquired about the information in many ways, and the reply he got was that it was related to this company. "I can't say much more. I can only say that I understand, but it involves too much." This frightened Kingpin. He was sitting on pins and needles as the Underground Emperor of New York. "I came here today just to get in touch with the senior management of this company and ask for their opinions. Brother, if you have no objection, I will continue to be the Underground Emperor, right? If you have any opinions, just tell me and I can change it." That's what it means. However, when Kingpin wanted to bribe or win over 1 or 2 employees of the company, even the cleaning staff, they all refused him. That neat, agent-like company atmosphere. Kingpin was even more frightened. His legs are a little weak when he stands now, but if he looks around, he sees either Professor. There's even Steve, the captain of the United States, but he's further back. Jin didn't think there was anyone here who could help him. Crack. Just as he was thinking this, a hand suddenly appeared and touched him. "Hello, is this the Daddy's All Right company? There are a lot of people. How do I get to the main stage?" A magnetic voice appeared. Kingpin turned around and saw a handsome Chinese man, a little princess-like doll girl, and a large monster leather case with realistic texture. "Shish, keep your voice down, Mr. Zhu is waiting for Dad to come." Jin Bin was startled. With his extraordinary size, he moved to try to squeeze out a position for Guan Fuyun. However, he moved like a muscle. All the employees in Dad's company looked over, then stepped forward and bowed to guide the way. One by one, the heads lowered like this, as if they wanted to kiss the red carpet and create an upward path to heaven. Kingpin just stood there dumbfounded. He was just an old gangster and had never seen such a scene. He even saw all the dignitaries on the magnificent stage, including Mr. Zhu, standing up and shouting cordially, "Dad!" Thump. This time Kingpin was really shocked. His legs went weak and he sat directly on the red carpet. "Don't panic, call me," Guan Fuyun said, reaching out and patting Jin Bing on the shoulder. Then he went all the way up, under the attention of many superheroes, villains, and powerful people, and came to Azu. Then he passed Azu and sat on the main seat. Moment. The crazy flashing shutters and cameras are like stars, connecting into a bright sea of stars. On stage, Guan Fuyun and Azu were chatting and laughing, and all the fireworks and firecrackers exploded, making loud noises. Off stage, Kingpin felt that he had something in his life. Can Mr. Zhu's father slap him twice, and from now on, he will not be allowed to walk sideways in New York. "Well done, Azu," Guan Fuyun applauded and praised, which was really a great relief to him. What if he didn't say that Azu was a normal person? This business ability, which is only 8 years old, can kill a lot of superheroes. It's all because of my father's good education. Azu's eyebrows were dancing with joy and his mouth was crooked in a smile, but he still pretended to be humble. This can be considered a kind of growth. Let me see, the company currently has Spider-Man, Hulk, 666 under its umbrella. The more I read Guan Fuyun, the more I realized that Azu really knows how to engage in celebrity, traffic, and fan circles. You're much better than these superheroes. They can only give you a job. Excellent. Guan Fuyun sincerely praised it. To be honest, it was really hard for him to imagine that a person with super ability could actually be poor and hungry. Take Spider-Man for example. In some versions, Spider-Man can even starve to death because of poverty and old age. And monsters like the Hulk are being chased everywhere. Can't you go to the White House, tear off the president's dog's head with your own hands, and take the bird's seat to make yourself happy? For example, Azu dared to do this. Thinking of this, Guan Fuyun took a good look at the elder, becoming more and more satisfied and full of appreciation. Hey 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 hey. Azu puffed up his chest, kept giggling, and rubbed Godzilla in his hands. This moment feels so wonderful. What a blessing. Not worth 1,000 pieces of gold. As long as he gets Guan Fuyun's approval and attention, for Azu, he completely owns the whole world. He was so happy that every part of his body was relaxing, absorbing the sunshine with all its strength. He is stronger. Mr. Zhu, the presidential campaign team wants to speak now. At this moment, Secretary Natasha Romanoff walked up. Let them go away. Azu was impatient. What kind of level did he come to disturb him and was praised by his father? But Natasha Romanoff looked at Guan Fuyun with questioning eyes. I told them to get out, didn't you understand? Guan Fuyun repeated. Natasha Romanoff. Okay, got it. But she did not leave. She paused and then said, also, Mr. Guan, the American captain wants to see you. In fact, not only Steve, but also Lu Dan, and I am also curious about who Guan Fuyun is. So they wanted to, have a secret interview. Tell him to get lost. Azu said like shooing away flies, you get lost too, and don't come to work again. But that's the captain of the United States. He's a household name. Natasha Romanoff tried to argue her case and grasp the key points of the company's development. But is Azu a reasonable person? It was a festive day, and he really didn't want to get in a bad mood, so he waved his hand and said, someone, drag her away. Mr. Guan. Natasha Romanoff looked at Guan Fuyun again, winking wildly and twisting her ways. This time Wanda was unhappy, and she had the urge to crush this fool to death. Blacken it is true. Azu told him to get out, and you got out too. Why didn't you listen? Guan Fuyun also frowned. Agent Black Widow, whether you want to test something or confirm something, you can get it. I can tolerate your little tricks, let you jump like a circus joker, and add some funny jokes to my life. But don't even think about driving a wedge between our father and son. Otherwise, you, and those idiots behind you, will see the end of the world with your own eyes. Do you understand? Brainwashed little girl. Natasha Romanoff was stunned on the spot. She was obviously here to go undercover and investigate. But now, she has become a transparent person, and her underwear has been turned over. Guan Fuyun not only revealed her current identity in one sentence. Even knowing her long-destroyed past. It's incredible. Is it mental perception, physical immortality, or some other ability? Or even a mysterious force above S.H.I.E.L.D.? Terrible conjectures emerged one after another. Natasha Romanoff looked serious. An enemy who knows everything about you is already scary, but what's even more scary is that you know nothing about him. Understood, sir, she said seriously, changing her expression in a second, showing the qualities that an agent should have. Besides, Guan Fuyun added, this company is just a part of our family members' mutual entertainment. It is not an industry, nor is it a lifeline. With company here, we can restrain ourselves and have fun and make ourselves happy. If something goes wrong with the company, then it doesn't matter to us. We'll kill trash like Ross one by one every day until Milliken completely collapses. Do you understand? Exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark. They killed Ross. The mysterious and powerful guy codenamed Fellowman was one of them. Natasha Romanoff's body trembled. She couldn't help but turn her head and look at Guan Fuyun. In an instant, she saw it. Seeing the indifference in Guan Fuyun's eyes, the whole world seemed to be just a virtual game to him. He is a player, he is the protagonist, he just wants to be happy. Nothing else matters. Even if the universe is destroyed, it will only be a grand fireworks. This feeling scares Natasha Romanoff. I'm sure I understand. Mr. Guan, don't worry, Whether it's SHIELD or any other unit, we will do our best to protect your company. Nothing disgusting will happen, Natasha Romanoff assures. Go away. Yes. Does she really think of herself as an American superhero? Are you still proud of this? Azu scratched his head and then said, is this title and the approval of those idiots so important? Anyway, he doesn't want to be a hero at all, he just wants to be himself. What a great daddy. Everything Dad said is right, and he can do whatever he wants. That's how run people are. Guan Fuyun said indifferently, and it's not that she considers herself a hero, it's Melishan who needs a hero. Similar to Tony Shit, Bruce Wayne, this is the rich man's hero. Similar to Captain America, this is a buff hero. There must be heroes one by one to make up for the poverty of reality and history. Otherwise, when I read The Romance of America Now, I see Washington riding his horse forward and throwing out a length of hemp rope. The hemp rope swayed in the sky and turned into a golden light that went straight towards the old chief. The old Indian chief shouted. The voice said, Hugh, was taken back and his scalp was scalped to make a pair of boots. How can that be done? Right, that's right, Dad. These words made Azu burst into laughter, and he said, foreigners are always good at making fools of themselves. Guan Fuyun. He was suddenly speechless. Is it okay to raise a great scholar, Azu? Shake his head. Guan Fuyun took the champagne from the agent's plate and raised his glass. Congratulations, Azu, you have grown up and are needed by more people. Excellent, Azu. Wanda. Godzilla. The wine glasses clinked together, like clusters of flowers, but they were cauliflower from the farm. It's not very beautiful, and the taste is bland, but after passing through Guan Fuyun's hands, it suddenly becomes a taste of the world. Where are the CEOs, bosses, and ancestors that others talk about? He is just his father's eldest son, the son of the farm. He will inherit his father's farm and become a farmer. Cheers. Azu showed a bright smile, his blonde hair swaying like a rapeseed flower. Bite. Child no. 1. Azu has established his life goals and has his own career. Has grown into an adult and has the ability to survive in the Marvel world. Reward an opportunity to draw an exclusive concept entry. Do you want to use it? Yes. Guan Fuyun said in his heart. Bite. Congratulations to the host for getting the exclusive entry, follow your words. From now on, whatever the host sees and speaks is the Dharma. Whatever your heart desires, nothing can be accomplished. Ox. Another conceptual god-level invincible ability. There are 2 qualifications. First, you must be able to see, or lock onto, the target. Second, we must determine the words in our hearts. This is good. Otherwise, what would happen if Guan Fuyun casually said, there are no more mutants, and Wanda died? With the verification code process, security is much higher. I just don't know if using a telescope can increase the locking range. What about satellites? Guan Fuyun was amused by his own thoughts. Next day, Guan Fuyun visited the company and watched Azu sign for Chaoying. See the commercial announcement of Peter Parker as Spider-Man, and the ashes dance of the bully spider. He really couldn't hold back and laughed like a pig. Strange to say, he is still Peter Parker, but he has lost his identity as a reporter and become an actor. Popularity, traffic, and popularity. My mental outlook was immediately different. First of all, once you have money, you no longer have to worry about rent. Then there are a lot of fans and fans, what about Mary Jane? Sorry, I'm really unfamiliar. He even made a short video. Once you let me go, why are you crying when I become a big star? After the breakup, I got $1 million salary. Close double angle bracket. In the end, he is still Spider-Man. Call the company's agent to fly a helicopter and carry a camera. There is no need to think too much about other settings and plots. They are ready-made. They can be recorded directly and then edited to make a movie. Villain or something. In New York, like leaks, they will grow naturally. Just cut it and that's it. In this regard, the citizens of New York responded enthusiastically. They are very happy and even look forward to having their lives turn into an interesting film set instead of going towards destruction every day. As the basic members of the superhero world, they are really tired and just want to have some fun and have a sense of participation. Voting, rankings, rewards, and leaving messages for interaction not only allow them to watch Spider-Man dance. The Hulk dances. It can even really allow them to express their demands, connect with the front line of Chaoying, call for help and dispatch the police at the speed of light. In America, if you call the police, he may shoot you. Or listen to the homeless man and kick you out of your home. Even when a fire broke out, the police simply refused to answer the call. There will be no rescue operations afterwards. But Dad's company is different. Originally, those superheroes were really dedicated, but now they can not only be heroes but also get paid. With a systematic and corporate channel for showing off, everyone is full of energy and becomes a super cow. Horribly efficient. This led to the fact that Dad's company had just opened and became a hit, causing a sensation throughout New York and the United States. Originally, a company had reached this level. They had to contact the parliament and face questions, such as calling Guan Fuyun over and asking him if he was a subversive sent by Dongda University. But as soon as these documents were sent out, they were immediately intercepted by Liu Dan. To this end, the S.H.I.E.L.D. Security Council convened once again. Commander Fury, you are afraid of a company, why? A member of parliament asked. Aren't you afraid of the military-industrial complex and the medical complex? King Dong has been assassinated twice this year. Luo Dan asked rhetorically. What does this have to do with Dad's company? Counselor. Of course it does. Liu Dan said, this company is the most correct right now. They completely dominate the media, social networks, and people's hearts. Whoever among you wants to run for president will ultimately have to look at their faces. Otherwise, you have no chance of becoming one of the two choices. Quote. Counselor. Luoden added. And Dad's company really killed people, killed General Ross. Based on a small number of on-site clues, passers-by witnesses, and some incomplete cloud recording analysis of victims. That Superman called the fellow is despicable, wretched, and cruel. He is a top-notch murderer, extremely vicious. His speed is at least the speed of sound, he has a body of steel, and he has a long-range energy attack that can destroy corpses and eliminate traces. Do you know how powerful he is? Can use airplanes and buildings as toys. No bunker or safe house can withstand one of his flights and impacts. He can kill Ross, and he can kill any of you. Morality, law, those ridiculous things can't even restrain you, let alone fellow countrymen. Because he really has the ability to clean you up, so please be polite and courteous, and don't use offensive affixes or documents to describe this company. As always, lie to yourself and just think it's cute and harmless. Just think of it as being slapped in the face with a slipper. Quote. The congressman was silent, then frowned. So, what is the role of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Without S.H.I.E.L.D., you are free to do whatever you want. Luoden paused, spread his hands and said, you are now dead man. That's not enough, Nick Fury. The congressman said, Congress will send you money immediately. We hope to receive good news. Certainly. When he heard about the money, Liu Dan became energetic. Very good. S.H.I.E.L.D. has recently recruited a lot of biologically male and psychologically female agents, and they are almost running out of military high-heeled shoes. This money solves an urgent need and everyone can make some money. As for the fellow countrymen, Luo Dan is actually not worried. In his opinion, no one on this planet is more powerful than Ant Wei. If that doesn't work, there are still Skrulls. And the congressmen are not good people either. They are expected to restart the Sentry Project, Super Serum Project, etc. It's time to reach Dowley. Now there is only one question before the braised eggs. Who are the fellow countrymen? He was deep in thought, motionless and absorbed, and soon fell asleep. Even Coulson's report that a hammer fell from the sky was not seen. A hammer fell from the sky. Azu saw Hydra's report and smiled. He spent the whole day chatting with people around him, and even went out to call the Hulk himself. Guan Fuyun, who enjoyed watching the fun, said, Dad, the alien who killed the whole family is here. Quote. Guan Fuyun. Ah, he froze for a moment. Until I saw a photo, I saw a huge crater that looked like a meteorite crash, and a hammer lying in the middle. Only then did he realize, wasn't this talking about the hammer god Thor? Although there are some deviations from the original. But at this point in time, Thor, a 1,500-year-old brat and one of the most tragic superheroes in the future, should indeed be thrown away. I searched the news out of habit. Guan Fuyun discovered that the experts in New Mexico were already panicking about the impact point of the hammer. It was raining, hailing, and meteorites were normal. How could a hammer fall? And this hammer can't even be lifted with a crane. Next to him, there is a psycho who claims to be a god, who is interfering with the experts' research. So interesting. Guan Fuyun watched the live news, suddenly smiled and said, "Come with the hammer. New Mexico, Hammer Pit. There are not only SHIELD agents, but also some local experts, scholars, and even people from Dad's company. Everyone is extremely puzzled by the astronomical phenomenon of hammers falling from the sky. Stupid mortal. I am Thor Odin-san, the son of Asgard and the father of the gods, Odin. Let me go." Next to him, Thor, who was tied up with 5 flowers, was still in the 2nd grade of middle school, reading a poem. "Dad, is this Thor? How funny. Like a fool." New York, inside the company building. Azu, who ate melon with Guan Fuyun, watched Hydra live broadcast, and played with the time stone, was almost laughing. Azu's eyes were gleaming, and he asked curiously, "Can I hit him?" "Okay, Guan Fuyun. Can you kill him now?" Azu was mean and had obscene thoughts. "Okay, Guan Fuyun. But if I beat Thor to death, Odin won't be angry. Will he come and beat me?" Azu said with tea. "It doesn't matter, I can beat Odin to death too." Guan Fuyun said easily. "I knew Dad was the strongest." Only then did Azu become happy. His face was filled with a proud and coy smile, his eyebrows were dancing and his expressions were rich. Guan Fuyun. This little brat, on the surface, despises Thor's 2nd grade and divine gold, but in fact he is envious of him on the inside. Who doesn't want to be a prince? After I got a definite answer from myself, I knew that I was better than Odin, and after I succeeded in fighting my father. Azu, who was in a beautiful mood, would not look at Thor twice. But he does have a point. If he really wanted to kill Thor, Odin would definitely be furious. In the major event of the comic, Fear Origin, the Snake of Midgard returned, and Odin Biden even sacrificed Blue Star in order to save Thor's life. Although on the set of Thor 1, Loki should be usurping power now, and Odin should be lying down and peaceful. But I also wonder, how could such an old bidden have no backup plan? Isn't he afraid that Thor will be bought for $0, shot, sent for organ trading, or burped after drinking contaminated water? So in the whole Thor 1, Thor actually came to privately visit and experience life in private. At the critical moment, he shook his body and fascinated the girl. How happy it is. It seemed that Thor was in danger, but in fact he was really dying. When Odin cried, the hammer not only flew back by itself, but also touched up his makeup and restored his mana and health. Loki was so angry that he exploded and made a meow sound. It can be seen from this. Old Odin Biden has been secretly controlling everything, and Loki's usurpation of power is just a child's ignorance and compilation. Now, Guan Fuyun said it was so fun and he wanted to play it too. He said, "Come with the hammer." So it can be seen that thousands of miles away, in the pit, the meow meow hammer shook. Stab. Then thunder burst out, and thousands of strands intertwined into a network, like tail flames, pushing the hammer to take off from Wuhu, straight into the sky, and headed straight for New York. Although the meow meow hammer is also called thousand people swing. In comics, Loki, Horseface, Captain Butt, Black Widow, Jane Foster, Vision, Storm from X-Men, have all lifted the hammer. Even next door, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman would play with hammers when they came to visit. But Guan Fuyun is different from them. Strictly speaking, his situation is similar to Hela's. Even if there is Odin's spell on the hammer, he can just ignore it and focus on force. Combined with the two concepts of true immortality plus speech and Dharma follower, he is invincible. This scene, in Thor's eyes, was another scene. Although the divine power was sealed by Odin. But as an alien known as the God Clan, Thor actually heard Guan Fuyun's words, which were like the murmur of a god king. Thor looked at Mewhammer as if he were an angry girlfriend who couldn't be coaxed. He is trying to coax him. Suddenly someone shouted, "Girl, come here to accompany me, be more coquettish." And then his meow hammer. Trembling, reluctant but unable to refuse, he flew away aggrievedly and constantly looking back. "There are cows. There are cows." Thor cried and fainted. He was so sad. In New York, the hammer flew into Guan Fuyun's hand. Figure +1. Boom. Then I saw a floating light appearing over the city of New York, and a white beam of light penetrated the sky and the earth, like a staircase to the sky. Among, old Bidden, with one eye and white hair, walked out slowly wearing golden armor, holding a golden spear, and the king's cloak fluttering behind him. King of Asgard, father of the gods, Odin. Coming. Really. As soon as Odin encountered something unexpected, Odin could no longer pretend to be a master. The others woke up and took back the spear, so Loki was probably hung up and spanked. Look at Odin. Azu pursed his lips and said, "Why do you come here uninvited? That's rude." Odin, riding a Pegasus, glanced at Azu in midair, then looked at Guan Fuyun, and a rune flashed across his eyes. At this glance, he saw nothing. But when he reaches his weight level, he can't even see it and feels it is inscrutable, which explains the problem very well. "Are you the son of the supreme god? It looks great," Odin said to Azu. His voice was loud and hollow, as if he had his own stereo, full of force. Impolite things, but they have good taste. As soon as these words came out, Azu loved hearing them so much that he smiled crookedly. Sure enough, he is his father's eldest son, and others can tell at a glance. Guan Fuyun, Odin, both of them were silent. After looking at each other, Odin got off his Pegasus, looked at Guan Fuyun and said, "Mr. God, can we have a chat?" "Let it go," Guan Fuyun said. "We haven't seen each other for so many years. Midgard has changed its appearance. It can be said that the world has changed greatly." Odin changed himself into a suit, sat down, and lamented, "Even gods will age and become weak. My dusk is coming, but the new thunder has not yet risen. In order to cultivate an heir, I can only use some extreme methods to stimulate Thor and hope that he will grow. I apologize if this has disturbed you. But that's not Thor's problem, it's my incompetence." Guan Fuyun couldn't help but nod as he listened. That's quite right. Throughout Thor's life, he was basically either cleaning up the mess left by Odin, or on the road to cleaning up the mess. Loki, Hela, Searcher, the serpent Jormungandr, even the Celestials. Almost at any time, some ruthless character will suddenly jump out and want to strangle Odin, and then Odin will only say something like, "Ah, I'm old, twilight of the gods, send, open," every time. Words like, pull. The result is often that Thor hits people with a hammer, and sometimes he actually ends up dead once or twice, with his thighs covered with bruises. I've seen this kind of scenario too many times. In front of him is Odin. Guan Fuyun couldn't help but complain. "You were really cheating on your son. You were really cheating on your son." Azu stretched out his head at the side and added, "Unlike my father, he is guaranteed to win. Look hard and study hard." Guan Fuyun, Odin, I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.